But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. That's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1 0 1 1 1 0 1 1 6 3 2 9 7.
Media doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Yo ho, and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we've got a very special show tonight. We're doing a dual stream with the Best Damn podcast. We have John and Bailey with us. They will be joining us in just a few minutes here, and we're going to be talking about all the things we're not allowed to talk about, of course, like we always do. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, everything in between. We've got Archons on deck. We've got the Anunnaki. We've got Planet X, the spiritual war. Yeah, these things are happening, and this is what we're here to talk about tonight. So if you guys don't know who they are, do check them out. They should be linked in everywhere, actually in YouTube. The stream is up. All their links are there. And yeah, I'll actually throw some links in the chat right now. But do check them out. Do follow them. This is part of a fantastic opportunity for all of us to kind of get to know each other from their community, from ours. And I'll bet you, I'm willing to bet, there's a whole lot of like-minded people on both sides of the spectrum here. So we're going to be talking about all of those things we're not allowed to talk about. So as we have a special show, we're going to skip the news tonight. We're not going to do the normal standard show format. So we will not do news, and we're not taking calls, at least for the first half. So we'll see how this goes, and then we'll kind of go from there. So phone lines are down, and we may have some Discord action a little bit later if you guys want to get into that. So okay, so the way this goes is we're going to do some quick shout outs because we're going to abbreviate this super fast because we have to get them on and start talking about all the things we're not allowed to talk about, of course. No, did I break it?
Oh, no.
No, I think we're okay. All right. You know when you do that, you start and then you just break everything? Yeah, I'm used to that. What's up? John from the Best Damn podcast. Everybody welcome John. He's if you guys aren't familiar with him, he runs a channel over there. I call him the hardest working man in the stream business. This guy's insane. Streaming all day, all night, every day. Go over there and check out how often this guy streams. I'm impressed by your work ethic, man. You do a lot over there. And what's up, John? How you doing tonight?
I'm pretty good, and thank you very much. It don't seem like work to me. It's kind of like a passion. I love to do it. I love to learn, and I love to share information. We got like a pretty cool community of people, so it's like hanging out with like family or something. So it's really awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. Thanks for making the time. And I agree. Like, I've met so many amazing people doing this show too. So at least we're on the same page there, right? Like, you put yourself out there, you meet some amazing people. Yeah. Everybody always
No
talks
doubt.
about the terrible people, but there's a lot of really great people that we met here. Okay, and then also Bailey. What's up, Bailey? Bailey is also here with the Best Damn Podcast. As I'm aware, Bailey does shows with John once in a while. Is that right? Most of the time, a lot of the time. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but Bailey, welcome to Troubled Minds, Monochrome from our Discord. How you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Hope you're doing well too.
And you know it. A cold beer and 85 degrees outside. I can't complain. Can't complain. No snow here. Okay, so then unless you got anything to say there, I know you guys can talk as well as I can talk. We can just blah 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 all night. But anything you want to kind of shoehorn in here before we get going, John and Bailey?
Bailey's the co-host on the Best Damn Podcast and kind of like my partner and other half. Bailey does a lot of the web design. Bailey's currently designing the .com. Just anybody that's interested in checking us out, you can go to the bestdampodcast.tv or you can go check us out on YouTube. We got a huge community, Discord, all that stuff, and it's everybody's welcome. And we're a different type of channel, that's for sure. But I promise you, you'll find some interesting things. And I just want to thank all of your listeners for having me on and listening to me rattle on tonight. So thank you, Mike. You're pretty gracious.
No. Thanks again. Thanks for making the time. And Bailey, anything there?
Just gonna say I'm excited for the like kind of conglomerate we have of different ideas and stuff that we're going to be bringing to the table tonight. So I'm just excited to start the show up.
Okay, I agree 100%. And anybody else out there, if you haven't checked us out on the other side that's listening, troubledminds.org is the official website. You can find all the socials there. Try and keep it at one URL, so we have one thing to remember, and you can find everything, YouTube and Facebook and the whole deal over there. So do come check it out. We probably do a little more UFOs than you're used to, but or at least I think. You guys don't do a ton of UFOs over there, do you?
We actually, we do. We do a lot of sky phenomena. UFOs tend to be a part of it. One of my thoughts about UFOs, though, is that UFOs are commonly a misconception for something else in the sky. Sometimes it's something as simple as like satellites, but a lot of times, people call meteors or what I would call celestial objects UFOs because they don't, relate something that would be planetary to something they would see in the sky this close to us, so they automatically assume that it's UFO or something of that nature. And I don't believe that. I don't want to offend nobody, but most of what I believe that we're seeing as far as UFOs are things like TR-3Bs and things of that nature, and it's a lot to do with deception when it comes to the alien agenda.
Okay, fantastic. We will definitely get deep into that one tonight because there's a lot there. There's certainly a lot there. Okay, so I guess let's get going on this. We're gonna. So the topic tonight, guys, like I said, we're gonna talk about the spiritual war that's going on here, right? And just like John said, basically this involves aliens, right? Except it may not be how you think. So we're going to talk about Archons and the Gnostic Gospels is what they're called, right? The Nag Hammadi library. Is that what that is? You want to tell us what that is real quick?
The Nag Hammadi codices, they were actually found not too long ago, and they were hidden. And this is basically what people believe is the original scriptures and texts of the Bible. They're written in a different type of fashion, though. As you would see, like the Holy Bible, it's got the punishing God and all of this, and the monotheism. This is more of a story that makes you feel as if it is like an alien invasion, because it talks about this demiurge, this false god that is the god of the blind, Samael, who fell pursuing our spirit down to the abyss. What he did was trapped us in flesh and is trying to steal our light from us, our souls from us. And he created the Archons and all of the little minions that he has. And the whole point of the game is to feed on us. So it's like a soul trap, essentially. And you learn that God doesn't have a name in the Nag Hammadi, that he's the inexpressible one, that a name couldn't, do him any justice because all things come from within God, in essence.
Okay, there we go. So Archons is a new term to me. So I always thought them synonymous to demons, right? That's kind of, I always thought it was exactly the same thing. And I guess it is in some respect, but it's also not. Like the more I kept reading about this, the more I kept realizing that this could be the aliens, right? Like this could actually be like some sort of alien influence, like you said, TR3Bs or some other stuff out there that has which you might call a nefarious agenda. So I got some clips here, kind of describing how these Gnostic Gospels start with the mythology of Archons and how they were made. So this is straight from that text. Some guy reading it is fantastic. I'll link the YouTube video so you guys can follow along. But these are just in like quick 2-minute little bite-sized pieces like we always do it over here so that we can kind of talk about what he's talking about and the text as we go. So I'm going to play part 1 if you guys are okay with that, and let's see what the Archons are all about, and then we'll get into the rest of this. No objections? All right. Action. Part 1.
No. Hey, Mike. I have Gnostic Mythos 2. Is that the one you're talking about? Myth of the Archons? If not, I'll just play the audio for my people.
Yeah. Actually, here I've got the. Let me pull up the. Yeah, it's this one right here. I'll link it right there in the chat on this side. I'll also link it in Discord. It's this video. This is what the guy is talking about here. I forgot. So they can't hear me through your Discord, right? Or can they?
Yeah, they can hear. Yeah, I've got you plugged into a virtual audio, so they can hear everything you play and all that. So if you play it, they can hear it.
Oh, I see.
It's
okay.
Cool.
Okay, so I'll play this. I'm linking these right now. I'm going to drop it in Discord so everybody can see it there. Here you go. This is a cut up from this exact YouTube video right here. Here we go. I linked it over to you in PM as well. There, John. Okay. All right, so here we go. Part 1 from this video here. Again, now, crap, my restream chat just took a crap. Good, I'll be able to fix that while we're playing this. Okay, so now this is from this individual. His name is his channel anyway is I can't even say this. it's a big word. It's Fiantlapides or something like that. So we're gonna. Anybody know what that word is? Fiantlapides? No. Yeah, same here. Okay. So anyway, this is a Gnostic Mythos 2, the myth of the Archons. And he's reading straight from the text here. So I'm going to play this clip as I fix my restream chat. So hang in there, guys. I'll be reading you in just a second. Here we go. Archons and how they started in the mythology. And hang tight, guys. This is going to get to aliens tonight. You'll see. But we're starting with Archons and the Gnostic text. Here we go. Part 1, action.
From Sophia, the celestial mother of all living things, was born the one who became the fashioner and ruler of the system of creation. His mother was in great sorrow and anguish when she brought him forth, for she was alone in an abyss of darkness, and her light was diminished. Her offspring appeared before her, and she saw that he was a shape-changer, for he appeared in the shape of a serpent with the face of a lion, and out of his eyes there came forth lightning flashes. And Sophia repented of her desire to bring forth a being in her loneliness, and she wept and lamented over her offspring, whom she named Yahweh, which means Child Lord. Yahweh then went forth into the chaos and fashioned a system of creation that was to his own liking. And into it he placed 12 authorities, 7 kings of the firmament and 5 kings of the abyss. All of these, with their children, were called rulers, for their desire for power and authority was great. The fashioner and his host then mingled light with darkness, so that the darkness would appear radiant, and thus could deceive the eye. This mixture of light and darkness resulted in a world that was imperfect and weak, for the darkness prevented it from developing an armor of light that might protect it. And great indeed became the weakness of this world, for the darkness that was everywhere mixed with the light invited terrible, evil powers and beings from beyond the system of the world. Thus, Yahweh stood in the midst of the world system he fashioned, and grew arrogant in his pride as he exclaimed, "I am God, and there is no other God beside me." Thus he demonstrated his ignorance of the true character of being and his pride, whereby he denied even his own mother, Sophia.
Okay, and so it starts, of course, like many other tales, and everything seems to be okay. And then we have one individual that always rocks the boat, don't we? And I didn't catch this guy's exact name, and most of these names I can't even pronounce. I'm sure you guys can probably help me a little bit with that. But what the hell is going on here so far?
Yeah, it's Yahweh. Yahweh, he's a lion-headed serpent. He's also known as Samael, which means God of the blind. He was conceived by thought. Thought is creation. That's why whenever we try to think of a solution to a problem, we create two more problems in its place. The Taoists actually believe that thought is the sixth sense, not like, psychic stuff, like, smell, taste, touch, and thought being the sixth sense. The mother actually conceived Yahweh or Samael without permission of the source or the father. And that's why he was born as a distortion into darkness. He was hidden on a throne behind a cloud, and because he was all alone, he said, "It is I who am God alone, and there is none apart from me." Thus sinned against the entirety, because he took the name of God in vain, right? People think it's saying a cuss word like GD. It's not. It means you're taking the title for yourself in vanity, right? So he said, "I'm God," right? Taking it for himself alone. The seven kings or whatever he created are actually the elements. That's what they are. They're water, fire, wind, all of that. 7 spirits, 7 sisters. There's a million different things in the religions that speak about them. That's why whenever you're initiated into the mysteries, you're taken out to the desert for 40 days where all of the elements are separated. Right? Water is separated from wind, wind is separated from dirt, so on and so forth. So Yahweh is essentially Satan. That's what he is. He pursued us down to the abyss. We're that spirit, that light that was pursued. He tried to take hold of our image. He raped our image. And when he did, he tried to trap us in a body. He couldn't raise us up from the ground. So the Heavenly Father, or the Source, actually breathed a living spirit into our nostrils and made us rise. And in Samael, or Yahweh's ignorance, he thought that he did it. Right? So every time you look at Old Testament and you look at the God, and remember, Bible, like as in bisexual, Baal, as in the Canaanite god, right? Baal means 2 lords, right? So anytime you look at Old Testament God, read the Nag Hammadi and see who you're talking to, because he says, "It is I who am God alone. None are apart from me. I am a jealous God, a wrathful God, an angry God, a vengeful God." Now, what would a creator of all things have to be jealous of? I mean, he created everything, so he could simply just snap it out of existence if he wanted to, couldn't he? Sounds like someone that was actually created. In Christianity, they tell people, they say that Lucifer, or Hillel, he presents himself as an angel of light, in that Hasatan, or Satan, or Abaddon, Apollyon, Shiva, he's got a million names, the destroyer, that he placed himself on the throne of God. And when everybody reads the Bible or any text like the Nag Hammadi, codices, or anything, they just throw that fact away. They think that Satan didn't put himself on the throne. So then they're reading it and they're thinking, "Damn, God's mean. Why is he doing all this stuff? This is crazy. God's a psycho." Well, you forgot the very simple fact of, you were told he put himself on the throne. So it's not always God that they're talking about. You have to check the attributes of who you're reading about. If he's angry, jealous, vengeful, wrathful, and trying to make war, then chances are he's probably not the loving Heavenly Father. There's a difference, but that's the great deception. It causes the whole world to worship the wrong guy.
Yeah, and like some people saying here in the chat, there's always somebody that's got to ice skate uphill, huh? There's always got to be that guy.
Yeah.
And he's that guy. He's that guy. Great comment, guys. I mean, like I said, somebody always got to rock the boat. It's this dude, and he's basically kind of twisting reality as it. I guess this would be like akin to the biblical Garden of Eden. Yes, in that sense, where you have You have
Yes.
you have something where everything was fine, balance was achieved, and then this individual steps up and tries to take over one way or the other and say that I am he or the source now, and that is obviously not the truth. So again, we're talking about the Gnostic Gospels, guys. This is the Nag Hammadi library, the codices, and this is different than your biblical scripture. So very different. If you're not familiar with this, hang tight because you're probably going to learn something tonight. I would imagine for sure. And if you're familiar with this story, hang tight even deeper than that because we're going to get to aliens. So hang tight. Hang tight. Anything there, Bailey, on the rest of this before we play part 2 of the Archons and the mythology here?
No, let's get to part 2.
All right, part 2. Let's roll it. Let's roll it. Part 2, Archons, action.
She, however, looked down on him from on high and exclaimed with a loud voice, "Thou hast uttered a falsehood, O Samael." It was thus that he received the name that makes him the blind lord of death. And then Sophia also called him by the name of Saklas, whereby she affirmed his foolishness. Sophia, however, knowing that her offspring had fashioned a creation in his own flawed image, decided to secretly come to the aid of the light that was present in the world. She descended from her habitation and came close to the earth, moving to and fro over it, and thereby conferred her wisdom and love upon the system that the foolish fashioner created. It was her mighty spirit that moved upon the face of the waters, as was stated in the account of creation rendered by Moses. The rulers thought that they alone created and ordered the world, but the spirit of Sophia secretly contrived to place splendid archetypical patterns in the fabric of their work. Then a great wonder appeared in the heavens, the form of a man, majestic and glorious to behold. And the image was accompanied by a voice that exclaimed, "The man exists, and the Son of Man." The Creator and his host trembled, and the foundations of the abyss shook, and the waters churned in terror upon the earth. So great was the radiance of the celestial human archetype that appeared in the heavens, that the rulers were blinded by it, and they could not bear its power. They averted their eyes and beheld the reflection of the form of the man as it appeared in the waters below. All the rulers and their servants rushed hither and gathered their powers and made a replica of the image of the heavenly man.
And so we have now again a similar but not identical myth in here happening that's biblical but not quite, right? So now we're talking about creating mankind, and this is what's happening here, right?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, no. I was just going to say, yeah, this is it's really the same story. You can exchange Yahweh for Samael. They're the same person. And if you look, and that's the thing about the Nag Hammadi, I think that kind of loses credibility with some people because the names can vary and be different, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's telling you the same thing over and over and over, that you once were a piece of God, and that you're the Holy Spirit, and that this entity, this being, whatever it is, has tried to take that for itself, for its own, and has fragmented us into pieces and created reproduction to harvest us at the end of the day. So it's pretty wild stuff. And you think about Samael calling him the God of the blind, and then think, Mike, look around you, bro, at the world right now, and how many people are actually asleep to the corruption politically, the religious corruption, just on a worldwide scale, to the fact that there are a small group of people that are controlled by the Jesuits that are actually profiting off of pain and suffering and torture, and 99.9% of the world is blind to this. That's why he is the God of the blind.
Yeah. So kind of looking into some of this, that's part of this spiritual war here, right? Is that we're going to get into a little bit later, and as we go, is that there's all of these things happening. We call it the upside down over here on this show. How we're supposed to pretend that everything is the way it is, and everything is supposed to be this way. There's like this bizarre, I don't know, like. It's supposed to be the status quo. Like you were supposed to shrug our shoulders and, just like you said, like ignore the corruption. And it's on all levels. It's political. It's spiritual. I mean, we have these human trafficking rings and child molestation. I mean, it's on and on and on. Like literally everywhere you look, there's something terrible going on. And yet you turn on the TV and they're never talking about these terrible things. It's always some other brainwash to distract you from the other BS that's happening. And there's a ton of nasty stuff. The harder you look, and you don't have to look that hard. That's the worst part. You just don't even have to look that hard. It's out there, right? Like this stuff is out there.
I think it's funny that you call it the upside down, though, because in the Bible, in Genesis, as well as in the Nag Hammadi Codices, it talks about separating the waters of the firmament, right? And whenever people, they don't really consider this, and then they even talk about Samael makes a distortion, a reflection of everything. Go look into a puddle of water and look at yourself. And what are you seeing? You're seeing an upside down projection of yourself. And it talks about in the last days, or in the time of distress, or in revelation, tribulation, whatever. Everybody who overcomes, it's literally talks about like Michael, he will stand up, to stand upright, like literally to flip over, to be turned from being upside down, right? And all of it is describing the reality in which we live in is upside down. It's an inversion of the heavens above and what we were meant to be a part of. And you see it in our wording. You see it in everything. You can look at, for instance, just a word, Walmart, right? And the Waltons and their association with the internment camps in World War II and the Japanese and all of that, right? And then look at the word. Mart law, right? The inversion's right there. Or Christianity, right? Christ, anti, right? Antichrist. You know what I mean? It's right in the word. Everything is inverted, and it's right in your face, and that's what this place really is, according to the demiurge perspective and the Archon perspective, is to divide and to invert. So it's all over the place if people are willing to look at it. And it's strange how Stranger Things calls it the upside down, isn't it? yeah, exactly. And oddly enough, like in Stranger Things, you have these monsters coming through portals from other dimensions, right? Which you could probably describe as, at this point, we haven't got to them yet, but the Archons, right? Mm-hmm. Definitely some sort of Archon influence going on here, right? Go ahead, Bailey. I heard you there.
Oh, I was actually going to say the same thing. You know, if you think about Stranger Things, that show really is about military abductions, gang stalking, and reptilians. You know, if you think about it, really, the Archons from the Upside Down, you know, are the idea of reptilians in, you know, the more standard kind of conspiracy alien discussion is really about, you know, essentially a reptile man, right? Almost as if it was like a snake were to have met with a man, right?
Yeah, that makes sense to me, and not only that. I mean, we can go into some of the other ancients, the Egyptians, and the rest of this with the snake on the man's body and the rest of this stuff. So there's a ton of that all over the world. Yeah, but yeah, absolutely, and it does. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That's the most interesting part about it, you know, is you can see it everywhere once you start noticing where the keys are, right? Once you can unlock the doors, every one of those stories kind of all comes together and becomes the same story. Yeah, and so we talk about it over here as basically the Anunnaki story, right? And we'll get to them at some point tonight too, I think. But it's not. It's like the religions of the world are what they are, and it seems to be all based on the exact same thing. Like this is not new to anybody who's been paying attention, right? This is all normal stuff. If you read anything and kind of dug into a little bit and put two and two together, like these religions kind of flow together, and the names are interchangeable, and the rest of this. So definitely fascinating. And another myth I've heard here about. I say myth only in the sense that it's another creation story. I don't mean it as true or false, so don't take it that way. But another creation story, right? So it's whether you believe this to be true or whether you don't, or whether you think it's an ish version of what actually happened.
That's up to you. Again, I'm not here. I'm not here with answers, so please don't take anything I say as gospel, because that would just
that's funny.
yeah. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. So again, I'm the questions guy. I'm not the answers guy. So don't be offended by any of the things I say. I don't know that these are the mythologies, and this is new to me. So I think this is fascinating as hell. So they're about to create mankind in this myth now. Now they're looking at, just like you said, John, the reflection, right, of themselves in the water. And it's not themselves, but it's kind of close to themselves. It's like you said, it's sort of an inverted version. And so now let's go to part 3 of this. And this is from the Gnostic text. This is from the Nag Hammadi library. I can't even say it. And part 3, and this is about the creation of mankind. And it's going to turn a little bit dark after this. So here we go. Part 3, Archons and action.
But their work was faulty and feeble, because the force of Sophia was not in their creation. The counterfeit man was dull and insensate, and crawled on the earth like a worm. Sophia then sent down several of her messengers of light, and they secretly entered in the mind of Yaldabaoth, causing him to breathe into the pitiful creature, thus bestowing life upon him. The fashioner thought that it was he who endowed man with life, but in reality it was his mother, Sophia, who gave humanity true life. And the man stood up, walked, and was surrounded by an unearthly light. Yaldabaoth and his host now came to recognize that the man was in fact a being whose spiritual power and intelligence exceeded their own. Filled with envy and rage, they attacked the man whose name was Adam, and cast him into the darkest region of matter, there to languish in sorrow and deprivation. But Sophia, in cooperation with the highest powers of the fullness, sent a helper to Adam to instruct and assist him with wisdom and spiritual strength. The helper was a woman who came to be known as Eve, but whose true name is Zoe, meaning life. The wise feminine spirit entered Adam and was concealed in him, so that the rulers could not recognize her presence. The rulers now conspired and devised a plan whereby they hoped that the man could be deceived and remain a captive to their designs. They made a garden filled with the beauties and delights of the earth and placed Adam in the midst of it, providing him with every kind of pleasant object he could desire. But the beauty and the pleasures they offered him were deceptive and corrupt, and designed to keep him a captive of the rulers, without a will and a life of his own.
Now, isn't that interesting? Trying to keep him occupied with other things, less important things than he should be paying attention to. What does that sound like? What the hell?
Yeah, it sounds like he is being distracted intentionally, doesn't it? You know, the same thing that happens to this very day, where we are bombarded with television, electronics, you know, for women, whatever, right? It's all to keep you from focusing on you going inside you. It's to keep you looking outside of yourself and spinning your wheels, basically.
Yeah, and so we're even talking. So these are again the Gnostic Gospels, right? So that they found this in 1945, I believe, in what's the name of the town? I keep messing it up, but okay. So this goes back to the time
Nag Hammadi.
Nag Hammadi. That's it. Thank you. I keep I keep getting like Star Wars names go through my mind when I try and say that. I'm all Greedo. You know what I'm saying? Like no. It's better I probably don't try and say it. Okay, so there we go. I'll call it the Gnostic Gospels. You guys can forgive me here. All right. So now in my crash course here on these texts in the last 24 hours or so, it seems like this is way different than the Bible, right? First there were some parallels. Now this is kind of not really the same at all, is it? This is very different, in a lot of ways. Comment on that, or we can keep on trucking here with the clips.
Yeah, I think it's very different. Oh, go ahead, baby. Go ahead. You haven't spoke.
I was going to say, I think it's at the core. I think it's actually very similar, but the Bible likes to add and manipulate things for different cultures. So, over time, if you watch how the different cultures have kind of been when the Bible was at whatever version it was, you'll see a lot of kind of like cultural changes that happen in the Bible to represent the culture at that time, which is kind of interesting. But I think the core keys, the core concepts that you can kind of find, do end up mapping together if you like go in there far enough and go in deep enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, and go ahead.
No, you're
sorry.
right.
I
You're
would
up,
just
buddy.
say that there's just similarities between this and the Bible, yes. And where Bailey says that the Bible does manipulation, I would agree, but I think this also does as well. It manipulates you towards more of a Luciferian perspective of things, and you know what I mean. It takes there's books in this that actually kind of glorify Jesus Christ, and then there's a lot of them that actually take away from him too.
Yeah, I was noticing some of that here. Let me read this. This is actually from the YouTube video itself. Let me just read this real fast before we keep on moving here with these clips. It says that the premise of Gnosticism regarding the human condition is that the human soul and spirit do not require an external institution for their redemption, but rather they contain within themselves the capacity for spiritual direction. The Redeemer is a helper and a shower of the way, but the way must be trod by the individual himself. Vicarious salvation and a need for a church as an ark of salvation consequently are negated. And you could see how even if the message was similar here, that we have a situation where the church is going to be hostile to this no matter what, because you're basically right. So no matter what, even if this isn't maybe Luciferian like you said, or maybe it isn't on the fringes, maybe the message is similar in salvation and the holiness of the soul and this type of thing, the ascension of consciousness. We end up with a hostile church to these texts, which is of course probably why they weren't included in the book itself, right? The Council of Nicaea and all that other stuff. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I don't think the whole thing is like Luciferian. I believe, like with any book, there is extremes. You know what I mean? One way the Bible's got extremes on some of their books that make you basically hate your own skin, your own flesh. So I mean, there's extremes in each thing, and some of them, the books associated with the Nag Hammadi, are very Luciferian. Some are not, and some, like what you're saying right now. That's why I do believe they did do away with it, because it takes the need for an external church, it takes the need for an external teacher, it takes the need for an external anything out of the equation,
and of course diminishes their power as a result of that, which is
that's right.
Yeah, which is not good for them, but good for the individual, right? Good for, and that's what I'm all about, right? I think everybody should be able to make up their own mind and not be told what to think and when to think it. Like the discovery of yourself comes from yourself, and I think that we should be given time without pressure to be able to do that. And at least in that sense, this rings a little more true to me than the you got to be there on Sunday at 10:00.
Yeah. Well, I think that the Bible, though, because of the Masonic control of it, has been heavily manipulated and kind of cryptographically coded even. And if people were able to understand the Bible, they would see that the message is not what you're being told by organized religion at all, especially when you read the words of Christ. That's the theologist, the people with these degrees that went to seminaries and all of this and have official degrees from these Jesuit schools of training that are really just mind control factories. They're just regurgitating the same it's called exoteric. Whenever you're in the mysteries, you give the masses the exoteric meaning, and the esoteric is what the initiate knows. So, the church is intentionally keeping everything outside of the self. That way you will never find the actual meaning or truth to any of it. The Bible is just as valuable, if not more so, than the Nag Hammadi, and has just as much, if not more so, deep things like that. But the way it's been conveyed to the masses has got your understanding flipped around to where you can't see it no other way than the way your pastor told you as you was growing up as a child. And that's part of breaking indoctrination. And when it talks about being born again in Christ, that's what it means. When you die to your old set of beliefs, when you see the false paradigm of religion, politics, society, all of it, once you see that your foundation was built on sand, and it just can't stand. And the person that you were told you were, all the labels and identities that you were given and you accepted, they all die and they fall away, and a person is reborn. They know who they are. That's why Christ was crucified in the place of the skull. You know, it's very symbolic for all of us. We're all, going through the same type of process whenever we come into an awakening moment. And awake is a funeral, right? You have a wake for someone who's dead, right? So when you awaken, that means the old you dies. This third dimensional linear perspective of things is gone. And now you're in the ascension process to where you're able to process all the dimensional aspects of everything. And that's what it's talking about when it speaks to rightly dividing, where you can understand that these things are true in multiple facets. They're true physically and politically, like in your world, true geographically, they're true astrologically, they're true what's inside each one of us as far as it goes metaphysical and spiritual, and it's true as a collective. It's all true in all ways. And once you transcend that, you then have began the ascension process. Everybody thinks they're going to be sucked up in the sky for some rapture. Well, rapture means to rape and capture, so ascension is something totally different, and it means that you're transitioning past the third dimensional perspective, this external, the exoteric, and the only way out is within, by going within yourself to find that place.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And again, but it's a control mechanism. And I think when we talk about the control mechanisms and how you rewrite it for, to maybe disallow people from finding the truth, you end up with exactly what we're talking about here, right? The entire reality, yes. How it's all built based on the fact that they need us as worker bees or worker soldiers, or the Igigi, as the Anunnaki might have said, like these types of things. I know it's not exactly the same thing, but in they do need us as soldiers. They do need us as farmers. They do need us as realists in reality, with 2 feet in reality, but they're leaving out a whole lot of life, right? Yeah, there's a lot here. So go ahead. Sorry.
They need us because they don't have the living spirit of source within them. When they rebelled, they cut themselves off from, and source is life. God is life. So they don't have that. That's why they need us. They can't create anything. They're the jinn of old, the genies of old, the archons, they're all that. And they can only manipulate what's already been created, or they can mimic what is created. So if you handed them a blank piece of paper, they couldn't draw anything on it for you. But if you drew a stick man, they could turn it into a horse. See, so they need our creative power, because that's what they do. They suppress our vibration to make us co-create the reality in which we exist. So we're the wardens, the guards, and the prisoners in our own prison.
Yeah, the worst kind of prison, your own prison. And so here's a little alien connection to that, guys. Wink, wink. As we get in talking into more about this will come up more and more. But haven't we heard that a particular alien species, let's say a reptilian, or let's say the Greys, or whatever it might be, they somehow are disconnected from whatever our consciousness is, and it's that reason why they're interested in us, because they cannot achieve whatever we have on their own, even though with all their technology, with all of their whatever it is they're doing, their dirty experiments and whatever's going on with this stuff, they still can't be us, because their individuality, their consciousness has been washed away at some point. And we have a really particular parallel though there, don't we, between this Archons, the aliens, and the Gnostic Gospels here. Pretty interesting.
Why are they so interested in abducting and studying us, right?
I think that's the question. Exactly. So if they knew biologically about us, it would take one, right? I mean, if their technology is so good, their kung fu is so good, they could literally just chop us up, and that's it. They'd know everything they need to know about people, right? So there's clearly something they don't know, or something they need, or whether this is energy, or whether they can tap into that consciousness. I don't know. But again, some parallels here, some interesting parallels between, now we're talking as maybe Archons as demons, like I said when we started, but now we have Archons as aliens, right? So then it might bring this conversation all the way around as we continue here. Are the aliens demons, right? Is it one and the same? Is this all the same thing? Is it all exactly the same thing? Okay. Yeah. Crazy stuff, right? Crazy stuff. Okay. Let's keep moving. I'm going to smash a clip 4 here, unless you guys have any objections or something to add there.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, going back a little bit, when we talk about like the upside down and things like that, I think like at the end of the day, what we're really trying to figure out, not us, but the Archons, if you will, or whoever you want to say it is how can we actually find a way to hybridize with humans to a point where people like us, where we are part of that God system. Like if they could continually change our DNA to a point where we're like them, then would they not now be part of the system of the sons of God? Which is an interesting way to think about it, if you ask me. And as far as the upside down goes, you can also look at places like CERN. Like, why do they have Shiva as a statue right next to CERN? It's because they're trying to use it as a way to communicate with the other side, or a better way of communication with the Archons, right?
Yeah. Another interesting parallel with CERN is Cernunnos, the god of the Greek god of horn god of the outdoors, and some other things. I think it's unclear exactly what he's the god of, but he definitely looks demonic with the devil horns, right? The goat horns. there's some weird stuff. There's some weird stuff. Weird connections and all this. And yes, CERN's a good one. We got to do a whole show on CERN and how all of that kind of ties into whatever the hell this might actually be. Because I think there might be something to this.
Yeah.
They're trying to tap into parallel dimensions, and if you kind of just look into whether you call them aliens, Archons, whatever, they're interdimensional entities. So it appears as if whatever they're doing through CERN, I believe it's a giant AI quantum computer, but it's to allow these interdimensional species to enter this realm or communicate with this realm. It's in the logo is 666. It's built on the temple of Apollyon, which is also Abaddon, which is the destroyer. The mascot is Shiva, which is also the destroyer. So, which the destroyer is Satan. So they're showing you like everything that they're doing, what their true agenda is. Even all the way around CERN, there's these crystal plates. In every language, there's prayers and incantations around the thing. And that whole Lucifer thing was just another ritual to invoke these things into our reality. So, from the start of the telegraph to now, CERN also started the World Wide Web project, the White Rabbit project back in the 40s. So imagine, this agenda has been going on before your grandparents were probably born. And nobody is none the wiser. Nobody has a clue as to what they're trying to do. And that proves to me, at least in my mind, that all of it is completely anti-human. And there's nothing human about what's taking place in our world right now. And something with such a slow burn that meticulously rolls out the way it does, a human couldn't achieve that. A human doesn't have a lifespan to do that either. So, people need to start thinking about things differently, because what they do is play off our arrogance and make us believe that we're the ones with the sun simulators and all of these things. No. No, that's to play up your arrogance, that way you think you're in control. What it really looks like is humans are not in control, and something else is, and this agenda is very nefarious towards us.
Yep.
Oh, the hubris of humankind. You gotta love that. we tend to think we're a lot bigger than we are, and weird, because you get this same thing to where we have this ascension possibility and capability, but we seem to think that we're there, let's say quite a lot sooner than we actually are. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, let's keep on moving here. So this is we're here with the best damn fam. What's up, guys? Shout out to you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of this. And this is John. This is Bailey, and we're talking about Archons. We're talking about aliens. We're talking about the Gnostic Gospels. We're talking about how this might actually tie into the Anunnaki somehow. And eventually, we may get to Planet X and have that as part of the conversation, and the Anunnaki as well. So here we go. This is part of the mythology of the Archons, straight from the Gnostic Gospels, and part 4, and they had just created man, and it seems there's a little jealousy brewing, and that the Archons are not quite as perfect as mankind, and there's a number of reasons for that, so many of which we just discussed. So here we go, part 4 of this. Again, this is from a YouTube video by a guy. I can't pronounce his name. Pronunciation is not my strong suit, but here we go, part 4. That's why I play the clips and let them pronounce the hard words. Here we go, part 4, and Archons and the mythology action.
A tree was also planted by them in the garden that contains their life, and that they forbade Adam to touch or eat the fruit of. Once again, Sophia and the other heavenly powers came into the aid of Adam, and they instructed him to eat of the fruit of the tree and defy the ruler and his tyrant angels. At the same time, the woman came forth from Adam, but the chief of the...
Wait, stop me. Did I play that one? Am I one off? I feel like I played that one. Let's skip to 5. I think I played that one. So at the end of that, right? They tried to distract him, right? Where's that? Hold on. Excuse me for just a moment. I get lost, right? You get lost in your own thought, and you can't count to 3 or 4. Hold on one sec.
Their work was faulty and feeble, but the beauty and the pleasures they offered him were deceptive and corrupt.
Okay, yeah, that was the last one. Here we go, part 4. I thought I was hearing things twice, but I heard it earlier, so I am. Here we go, part 4 action. Sorry about that.
A tree was also planted by them in the garden that contains their life, and that they forbade Adam to touch or eat the fruit of. Once again, Sophia and the other heavenly powers came into the aid of Adam, and they instructed him to eat of the fruit of the tree and defy the ruler and his tyrant angels. At the same time, the woman came forth from Adam, but the chief of the rulers recognized her as having the light of Sophia in her, and he was enraged. He pursued her all over the garden, having subdued her, raped her, and she conceived 2 sons by him, whose true names were Elohim and Yahweh, although they became known as Cain and Abel. But the shining spirit of wisdom that inhabited Eve fled while this ravishment took place, so that the only human Eve was thus shamed, but not Zoe, the living spirit. Elohim Cain became master over earth and water, and from him descended men and women whose inclination is towards matter, whereas Yahweh Abel commanded fire and air and became the father of humans who value the soul and mind. Adam, however, recognized what the tyrant ruler had done, and subsequently fathered a son by the name of Seth, whose inclination was towards spirit, and who became the father of those who desire gnosis, and who strive for union with spirit. The tyrant angels then watched in rage as humankind went its way, and would no longer linger in the fool's paradise where the fashioner wished to keep them captive. The chief ruler particularly cursed the woman who became the mother of humankind, and her lot, and the lot of her daughters has been a difficult one ever since.
Okay, we have some interesting names that show up, right? I noticed that Yahweh is that would be the biblical God, right? Am I off there?
Well,
Testing?
not quite.
Not quite?
Some people say that, but the other side of it is a lot of people think that Yahweh is actually the God of war, right? Like, one thing that the Archons have been really good at is tricking people, right? They're like great deceivers. So one way you could look at it is like, maybe that's the God, but it kind of contradicts itself in that earlier it said the God doesn't have a name. So now they're saying Yahweh is the God. It's more likely that they're actually saying, oh yeah, look at the 7 stars, the Pleiades, and look at all these things, and they're in the firmament, and then look at these 5 down below. But they're probably actually originating the dualism system. Because look at throughout any other form of dualism, like Biden versus Trump or whatever you want to call it. there's always two groups pitted against each other to make you focused on that argument and not the real thing at hand, right?
Yeah, that's the same old story, the same old song and dance. Okay, all right. So we just have we have some names that are have been basically recycled then, and these have been actually cast out of the Bible, even you could say, and that's part of why it is what it is, right?
Well, we heard Yahweh and Elohim, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We heard,
we're more than
okay.
That.
Yeah. Okay. So Elohim, actually, if you take it back to Genesis 1, which I'm showing the people at home while I'm doing it, the etymology of the words, and this is where people really lose it big time, because they don't know who they're actually worshiping, right? But when you take it back to the Genesis, Elohim actually is little e, Elohim, and it means, or Elohai, it means supreme ones, which is plural, or little g, gods. And specifically in the plural, and it means the supreme God or the all supreme. So when they're talking about, and God, when Jesus speaks it, is a different God than what they're telling you in Genesis and a lot of these other things. So supreme gods are superlative in their magistrates, which means they're angels. They're just the angels, the fallen angels. Whenever they talk about Elohim, that's plural, that's liturgy gods, supreme gods. Yahweh, whenever you look at the letters or that symbolize his name, and you take them back to the Aramaic, they are A-U-A-I, which is the vowels in Anunnaki.
Okay, so it is all connected then. So one way or the other.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's pretty crazy.
Could
Go ahead.
be Anunnaki, likely is. The other thing about that is, I just lost my train of thought. It bounced.
I do it all the time.
Well, but once again, think about what we were talking about earlier when we talked about Yada-Baoth and Samael, and how I am a jealous God. There is none apart from me, right? Another theory, like with Yahweh, is whenever you look in I think it's called the Grand Grimoire. It's Solomon, and it's got to do with the clavicle of the Kabbalah and all this. And it's a book of witchcraft. And there's an essence, like when you see the Nazis and the swastika and the 4 90-degree angles on there, where you hear the 4 horsemen, the 4 angles, the 4 winds. It's Ariel, Adonai, Jehovah, Elohim, which make up Yahweh, right? They're these north, south, east, west. They're the 4 angels that make up Yahweh, the supreme God, the Holy One, right? Or holy meaning a whole being. So anytime you see like these different names and stuff like that, it's usually talking about the Elohim and the top 4 Elohim making up the supreme deity.
Okay, and so
does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes. Again, most of this is over my head because I was terrible at Bible school. There's that, and then it's been many years since I've actually read the Bible. I was telling Bailey this, and it's like, again, going through reading the Gnostic stuff here. It's I'm not sure. I realize it's different, but I'm not sure how different. So thanks for joining and setting us straight. Setting me straight anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that.
It's really different, but there is a lot of similarities to it too. So, and Gnostic means gnosis, which means knowledge, spiritual knowledge.
Right, which would be that ascension of our consciousness. It's the same thing. Go ahead, Bailey. Sorry.
The one thing I wanted to bring up, just as a way of kind of like looking at the Bible, if you want to, is like really go in and break down what the words mean there. Because if you look at Genesis, which John brought up and talked about how the God there isn't always the Almighty, Lord or whatever but actually is often talking about Elohim as gods. And you can see a really obvious example of this if you look at it in Genesis 1 versus Genesis 2, where Genesis 1, the entire time it's talking about Elohim as creating the world through the energy of the Son of Man, willing it through God, right? And then in the second, in Genesis 2, you then see it talk about the God as Lord. And that's the first time it mentions the Lord God, right? And so at that point, it starts talking about how the Lord God comes in and takes over this and says, okay, well, the sons of God will this, so I will help make it happen, right? So that's one of the original deceptions is that the Elohim actually helped create the earth through the will of the people who it essentially was sold to by them, right?
Well,
and that's kind of what Genesis 1 and 2 is trying to say.
Well, and it's also telling us also that when we're made in the image of God, when you look at that, an image means a phantom, an illusion, a projection, an idol, or a vain show, meaning a show of vanity. So it means that your physical essence is not really you. And that's the trick, is to make you think that this is your only reality. That way you give all your energy to it, and they get it. They keep it, right? All the evil that you have within you is meant to be transmuted into light before you die. Well, or you give it away. So they want you to either give it away, focus on this reality and cling to it like it's your only life, when you're actually in the system of death. And that's why all the cults worship Saturn, the death cult. And that's the name of the game, is to take your spirit, to take your soul. And it's hard to perceive that you're actually just, this projection, this vehicle for the real you, which is your spirit. That's not even inside your body. It's more like your aura, like around or outside your body. It's bigger than this. Yeah, it's bigger than this. It's more important than anything you can imagine, but it can't be stolen. It can only be given away. And that's why everything is about deception and to getting you to give it.
Yeah, and there's no speaking religious wise or worldview wise, there's no right or wrong to this. Am I right? I mean, there's ascension, there's a process, and it's personal. Am I right with that? Like you can be any religion in the world, and you could still have your footprints in the same ascension process. It's just different, right? The different terms, the different. Is that right? Am I right in guessing that?
No, I disagree. I mean, I think that, yes, any religion, if done right, probably could take you to a good place, and they're all good for you. But no, there is what you call the front door and the back door. And the back door won't take you to the land of milk and honey, so to speak. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. In a lot of religions, the reason that they'll say Christ is the truth, the way, the life, and the only way to God, because the way he's trying to teach you is through the front door. A lot of the other things with the Kundalini stuff and all of that's Hermeticism, and that has to do with the back door. That's also why they sodomize people. That's also backdoor stuff. That's why Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, because there's a vagus nerve in your ass. So they activate your Kundalini and a backdoor awakening through doing so. So yeah, I mean, religions, if you're doing it naturally, you are doing it through the front door, then I don't care how you get there as long as you get there. But the reason that, they've created the concept of Christ and all of that, I believe, is because pretty much 99% of the religions go through the back door too.
Hey, what are you trying to say about Vegas, man? I live there. Everybody slow down. Everybody slow down.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
It's modern day Sodom.
You're cool. I'm just kidding. I don't take it personal. Okay.
There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun, and we're Babylon, and that would be modern day Sodom. So,
right.
That's what they do. They repeat the story over and over and over again. It's their script.
Right. Got it. Okay. So again, we're gonna get hang tight, guys. Hang tight. We're gonna get to aliens. We're talking about the Gnostic Gospels, the Nag Hammadi. I think I said it right. The codices and what this means. And there's a lot here. There's a lot. It is not. If you read these things, I was kind of going through it last night. It's not an easy read. It's not. It's not one of those things where you just buzz through it and you're like, yeah, I got it. High five, ascension. It's not like that. Trust me. It's kind of like reading the Bible, as you would expect, right? You go through and is it parable? Is it not? Is it semi-literal? Is there something involved here that maybe you're not getting? Yeah. Anyway, definitely good stuff. Archons, moving on, part 5, and we'll keep on talking about that and how this, again, it kind of loops around to our Archons, demons, and aliens, and is it all related? Here we go. Part 5, action.
Nevertheless, Eve gave birth to a daughter named Noria, who was filled with true gnosis, and who remained on earth for a long time as a helper of humanity. Because she was wise and knew the schemes and true evil, and the evil works of the tyrant angels. Meanwhile, humans multiplied, and, instructed by Seth and Norea, many turned to Gnosis, so that the rulers had few men and women who would accept them as divine and follow their laws. The tyrants gathered and declared that they wished to destroy all humans who were not subservient to them. They caused a deluge, from which they intended to save only those who were still beholden to them, among whom was a man named Noah. The chief ruler approached Noah and told him to build an ark whereby to save himself and his companions from the deluge. Norea, however, learned of this, and in order to frustrate their designs, she first attempted to dissuade Noah from constructing the ark. But when she did not succeed in her attempt, she blew fire upon the ark he had built so that it burned. Noah, however, being stubborn, built a second ark. The evil angels then assaulted Norea, wishing to ravish her as they did her mother Eve. But a great angel of light named Elelith rescued her and gave her strength to continue with her mission. The knowers of truth hid themselves in a luminous cloud high above the mountains and were saved from the flood. So with the help of Norea, the scheme of the tyrant angels was frustrated. Ever since those days, humankind lived in conflict and division, for the chief ruler had divided it in wrath. True gnosis became rare, and the children of men learned about useless and dead things, and their knowledge became worldly and corrupt. Still, the human race was never left alone, for it had helpers in the high aeons.
All right, so now we've got the flood, we got our biblical Noah, and we've got the Archons messing with them, burning down the first ark. This is again, right? Some things that a little bit different, probably. A little bit different. Interesting as hell, I think, but yeah, definitely a different story. Kind of like you said, alien invasion, right? they're messing with
isn't it crazy?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot here. Sorry, go right ahead.
No, well, I just think it's like really crazy, and this is one of the things. I think that, just in my opinion, I know some people out there they read the Bible, they think that's all you can read. I would disagree. I think that anything that would expand your spectrum of what you can learn is good for you. Just remember to use discernment and critical thinking when you're reading anything. But one thing I've really always loved about the Nag Hammadi is the amount of detail it gives. It gives a very, very descriptive picture and version of all of these stories, including the biblical flood. And it gives you a deeper understanding of what is actually going on, what you're up against, how this is, essentially an invisible enemy, but at the same time it can inhabit, bodies and things like this. And that in truth, this is what is, it's really about you and your own sovereignty, understanding that who you are in all of this and how special you are, and trying to maintain that and not allowing one of these entities to gain control over you, or to trick you into worshiping them or whatever, right? Because that's what they dig fear. They feed off of energy. And, I think that it really makes it a lot more real. When I was a kid and I used to hear the Bible, it sounded like fairy tales. When you read this, there's something different to it. It's got a different type of edge to it that makes it appear more real, more detailed.
Yeah, and again, like I said, there we have the entire just the entirety of consciousness here. Again, so consciousness and spirituality, they're different. Yes or no? Like your consciousness ascends?
So.
No, it's the same process. It's just at different terms, right? So we end up trying to one way or the other get there, whatever there is, wherever the pearly gates or whatever this happens to be. And I don't know. I don't know. You guys can tell I'm not a religious type. Like I said, I haven't read the Bible in many years. And
I'm not religious either. I would consider myself spiritual and a follower of Christ, because I think that he was trying to tell us how to escape this place. But I think ultimately, boils down to, those who are willing to go within and, try to not take sides in all of this. I say choose not to choose, because that's what it's about, is to divide you in the politics, the religion, and all of that. And really embrace who you really are and be unapologetic for it. Don't allow the shame and the guilt matrix to hold you down, to weigh you down, and keep you stuck in this system. And don't allow even a lot of these books, they're filled with punishments and all of this. You have to think, if there is a creator God, would he make you just to give you a bunch of rules that don't even allow you to experience anything and then throw you in a pit of flames? Mine wouldn't do that. So, at the end of the day, I think it's just about all of our own personal journey and learning who we are and trying to connect with each other, impact each other's lives the best that we can.
Yeah, it does seem peculiar. The old, I was actually reading some of the interpretations of that, the Gnostic Gospels, and they were saying that they at least from one source I read, they were interpreting the Old Testament God as a particular different individual than what Jesus ushered in the New Testament. Is that right? Is that
yes? Yahweh. Yeah, he's Yahweh and Samael. He's Satan.
Okay, so that is exactly the individual we're talking, the demiurge here, right? It's the same thing.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. But think about it. Moses went and talked to a burning bush. Okay, Archons are made out of fire. Seraphim are made out of fire. Satan was a fallen angel, a seraphim and a cherubim and an archangel. Lucifer, same way. He was Hellel before he fell, hence the word hell, because he's the emperor of the underworld. And then the god of this world is Satan. They're also from the Anunnaki tales, Enki and Enlil. That's why Earth is named Ea, Earth, because that was Enki's name before it was changed to Enki. It was Ea, Earth, Earth, right? Earth. And he plays a role of Lucifer. And then the Lord Commander was Enlil. He plays a role of Satan, the false light, and the one who sits on the throne of God. It plays out over and over and over again. And it's in every tale. And these guys give us the false paradigm of light and darkness so they can get both sides. They want the sheeps and the goats. They want the left and the right. They don't want nobody to escape from this place. And you have to see that the deception is duality, and you have to walk that middle way like Jesus talks, right? To be able to escape it and not allow yourself to be divided by any of these things, because a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Which again is, I think, given just the political climate, just social media, just how families are now splintered because of politics and these other silly things, it just seems that maybe this was the plan all along, and this kind of maps it out thousands of years ago. Yeah, go ahead, Billy.
Is it even really politics anymore if you can't even talk to someone about it because they don't even follow the information anymore and they just believe the side that tells them what they're told? Like, at some point, it goes beyond that, even to a point where it's just people rooting for their team. At this point, it's just the Roman circus again. Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. It's become the gladiators in the Colosseum, and we're the feisty mob, the unsatiable bloodlust of the mob is us. Yeah, and it's weird, right? Like it was a thing then, it's a thing now. And it certainly seems to be pervasive throughout history. I think that's the most bizarre part here is that there's and I think we can bring that all the way back to not just consciousness but liberty, the sovereignty of the individual. Right? I think that it kind of includes all of this, where we have governments that are not trying to allow you to be what you want to be. It's just a lot of this makes me sick. It's part of the reason we do this show, just because it's okay. It's okay. Be you. Yeah. Like, be you, for crying out loud. And, if there's people that don't appreciate that, that's on them. That's not on you. You be true to you, and that's the thing. That's why we do this show. One of the reasons, anyway.
It's not their place to judge.
Sorry, I missed what you said.
To judge.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nobody's place to judge. So people should find a way to reason about things with each other, not to just argue about things without coming to a conclusion or coming to some shared idea of what the other person thinks. People are so busy stuck in their own thought process that they aren't even coming to terms with each other. But I think a lot of that is because, part of what the Archons want people to do is to stay in this brooding, low vibrational, angry kind of situation, where everything is out to get them because they're in fear, and the vibrations that they're kind of pushing out are really low because there's another theory that talks about, I think it's vril is what they call it, which it's the energy that we put out, basically, right? And it's like they call loosh the energy that negative vibrations put out, and they say that it ties back. If you ask me, it ties back in the end to reptilians again, and the idea that reptilians feed on loosh. Reptilians are essentially the same idea as the Elohim or the Anunnaki. So at the end of the day, I think what they're really trying to say is that the reptilians are actually helping the Archons feed on the dark energy, because the Archons are, the people that rule the reptilians. If that makes sense.
Well, if any of it really makes sense, I think is the problem, right? Like the more you talk about it, the more you think about it, you're like, oh shit. Like none of this is good, right? None of this is good news. I mean, there's good news because there is a way out, but it is, it's not good news. This is not good news.
Well, I think that when to speak about the alien thing, like kind of in that direction, when it talks about the Ajiji, it talks about a race of beings that were essentially created by the Anunnaki, basically told to watch, right? Like the Watchers, and they rebelled. So then that kind of gives a question of, are even the fallen, like, are all of them really bad guys? Is there a good guy in all of this? Were the Anunnaki our original oppressors? They created another artificial race called the Ajiji, which would be the Zeta Reticulites or the Greys, to watch us. Then they rebelled too. That would mean that nobody in the equation is actually, on team humanity. And Christ or whatever would be the only true spirit of source that was entered into here. That way we would have the ascension experience. That way we could escape one day, it being in the Akashic record for all of us to have. So, I mean, it could paint a really dire picture of what this place is, and that it is a Vesica Pisces or a soul trap. And that's why you see the serpent eating its tail, the dragon eating its tail, because it's meant to continuously loop. And that's why nothing new is under the sun, right? It's meant to just get to the point to where people start to wake up, they harvest all of us, destroy the world, start back over. And it goes over and over again. In the Hopi prophecy, talks about the fifth world emerging, which means we would be in the fourth world, and that at least 3 worlds before this have been destroyed and harvested. That would be pretty crazy, because add in the fact that you're under a firmament, that means you're in a fish tank, and that means you're being farmed down here. It's a really, really crazy way to look at it, but, that's what it appears that it is. And that's why a lot of the Bible talks about escaping. It doesn't talk about, you having some good time on your way out. You read Daniel 12, it talks about Michael coming down to help you escape. Why do you have to escape? Because you're a prisoner.
Yeah, because this...
Well, and also sorry.
No, go right ahead.
I was just going to say also, if the reptilians created the Ajijis, and if they're the Greys, then that comes up with another question of, if they rebel, then do they rebel back onto the side of the people, or do they create a third faction? And what is their interest?
And
right?
Well, and if the world keeps getting reborn and rebuilt and stripped and fed upon, which have they changed their mind? Are there only 3 factions? Are there 4 factions or 5? Or I think we got a bigger problem than that, don't we? I think so. I definitely think so. Yeah. This is again, like a lot of this is above my head, and I do go listen to your channel there, John, because there's a ton of stuff you guys talk about that it's very similar to what we do, but it's framed very differently. And I like that a lot, because it makes your brain think about things differently. Like the more types of different takes you can hear on anything, really. Like, to me, that's knowledge. Knowledge is knowledge. Like I've always said, it doesn't matter where it comes from. It doesn't matter if it's from the dirty Bible you find in with missing pages. You know, there's some good wisdom in there. You know, like there's some good stuff in there, and so you shouldn't just shun it because you hated church when you were a kid or this or that or the other thing. Knowledge is knowledge, damn it. And so I want to say thanks to you and Bailey and everybody else out there on your channel. And I did link them, guys. If you guys haven't gone over there and followed them yet, please do. There's a lot of really great conversations that happen. And you know, like if aliens are your cup of tea, they're talking about aliens over there. So it's a little bit of both, and I enjoy it. And thanks again for coming on and helping the conversation out. It does teach me a lot, and it means a lot to me. I appreciate you guys' time.
No,
And I think
thank
whenever
you.
anyone's talking about religion, at the end of the day, they're talking about aliens. That's how I see it. If you think about it.
Maybe, maybe. I don't even know. That's
Anyway,
the thing.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But again, I think that's the thing, right? I'm as confused as the next person. I don't have any answers. I never claim to. And like I said, you go get them. And like I said, John's podcast over there, and Bailey is fantastic for some of these types of things. So very, very good. And let's continue with Archon, shall we? Unless you guys have anything else to add. There's 2 more clips, and then we can just freeform after this and just go wherever we want to go.
Sounds
No,
good.
yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's do it. So we got 2. They're just 2-minute clips, and then after that, we're just whatever the hell we want to do. So we'll take it from here. So again, this is one more time that if you're just joining us, just kind of catching up, whatever it happens to be. This is from the Gnostic Gospels. This is the mythology of the Archons and how they were basically demons. How they're kind of actually, let me read this real fast. I got a great. From this website real fast. Again, like I said, I got a crash course in what this actually means. So Archons, here we go. I'm going to link this real fast. There's a website called Gnosticismexplained.org. If you guys aren't familiar with that, I'm going to link it real fast. You guys can check that out. But listen to this. This is a fantastic description of this, and I was like, oh. All right, here we go. In Gnosticism, Archons were malevolent, sadistic beings who controlled the earth, as well as many of the thoughts, feelings, and actions of humans. They assisted their master, the demiurge, with the creation of the world, and continued to help him administer his oppressive rule, which presumably we're under as we speak. As we speak, the upside down. Here we are living in the upside down, just still doing our thing, trying to figure out why it's the upside down. Well, maybe this started, like Billy Joel said, we didn't start this fire. Somebody else did a long, long time ago. Yeah. Anything else there? I'm about to play clip 6. I can count. I swear I can count. You'll see. I can count. Clip 6. Anything else before we play this?
No.
All right. Action. Part 6.
Not only Sophia and her angels, but some tyrant angels also turned from the evil of their chief and returned to the service of the light. The greatest of these was the brother of Yahweh, and he is named Sabaoth, and also Abraxas. This spirit renounced the works of his blind and evil brother, and submitted to his mother Sophia, who appointed him the ruler of the 7th heaven, from whence he ever calls after the fashion of a celestial chanticleer, to all beings, so that they might awaken and renounce the works of darkness. At a later time, conflict arose between the children of men who still served the tyrant angels and those who had been liberated by Gnosis. The servants of Yahweh betrayed the knowers, and the rulers rained fire and brimstone on them, hoping to destroy them. Abraxas Sabaoth, assisted by other mighty angels of light, rescued them, so that the plan of the rulers once again came to naught. This became known as the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Time and again the rulers rallied and schemed to destroy those humans who would not serve them. They wished to corrupt the whole human race by mingling their essence with humanity, and they abducted many human women and procreated giants who were filled with malice. These giants became the ancestors of those men who selfishly despoil the earth and deprive good men and women of their possessions and sustenance. Owing to the manifold evil schemes and depredations of the rulers, a certain portion of the human race is contaminated by their seed, although all men and women possess in addition the spark of Sophia. The rulers, however, are truly tyrants. Their deepest desire is to subjugate and rule the children of men whom they mistrust and despise, for they are superior in essence to the rulers themselves.
And there it is. So mankind has that spark. The spark is Sophia. And Sophia, I find, is a pretty interesting character here, right? We're talking about part of the Holy Trinity, as I gather it, that sacred feminine. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me get my mic on for the...
You're good, man. You're good. You're good. So
sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe it's the Holy Trinity. Yeah. And you'll see it in like different variations in different religions. But yeah, Sophia would be like the Holy Spirit or the divine feminine. As you would have the Father, being, the living Spirit of God, and Adam, or you and I, being the Son, making that Holy Trinity. And that's what Yahweh or Samael or Satan or whatever, that's what they pursued. And when it says he pursued the image of that, the image is us. We're the image, right? So they're trying to take the light out of, trying to take the light because it's energy, it's life, and they've been disconnected from that. They need to distort it, though, and lower its frequency, or else it'll destroy them, because light destroys darkness. So that's what they do. They try to capture that light and take it for themselves, basically. But Sophia is depicted all over the world. That's why you see the satanic system of AI mocking by having the first citizen robot in Saudi Arabia named Sophia.
Oh, that's right. They did, didn't they? Her name was Sophia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. Talk about blasphemy, huh? Holy shit. That is rude.
That's what it's all about. That's the name of the game. It's people. I know. It's like, look. Let me just make this clear. I was an atheist for a very long time in my life. I started doing this really just to prove or disprove if Jesus was who they said they was. I had this crazy dream of, a giant planet in the sky, just weird stuff, right? And, I have found throughout the years and the things that have happened to me that, what I thought was completely just nonsense, stupid, and unbelievable, and half the things that come out of my mouth today, I still think, man, what? How am I saying this? But I know it's true. I know it to be true. And everything that we were kind of told just as little kids about, it's really a battle between God and the devil and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's the truth. It really boils down to light versus darkness, good versus evil. Our entire world and system is ran by the darkness through the demiurge, the Archon. And 99% of the people that you see in power are not even human. They're controlled by that. AI is not what you think it is. It's just a conduit or a channel for Satan to infiltrate our world system and manipulate through technology. So we've been terraformed here on Earth and prepared for this final season. And if you look at the agenda for C-19, I don't want to say it because I don't want to get you in trouble, but the virus of the crown, and the fact that they've been dumping nanomaterials on your head for the last 5 years through planes, calling them contrails, that whole C-19 agenda is a binding agent for those nanomaterials. That way they can turn you into an antenna for the 5th generation technology, and you will become part of the hive mind as well. That's the mark of the beast. It's all here. It's all rolled out. Like, it's all over but the crime, basically.
Yow. I heard you there, Bailey. You got something to add there? Oh, you were just
Sorry.
No, you're good. I hear you, so I'm like, all right, go ahead. And I don't know what you're doing. You got something or no?
Sorry.
You're fine. You're allowed to be human and make noise. How dare you? Come on, no. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, how dare you? No, it's cool. No, and I think given all of that, I like the sinister agenda is. I think the thing that's probably most shocking about all of that is how far it really goes, how deep it really is. Like the more you look into this stuff and the more you think about it and talk about it, the more you find this nugget or that nugget, it's hard to believe at all. But like, there's a lot that's really becoming irrefutable as maybe these are, some sort of negative energy, the Archons, as they say, really running the earth. And they have been forever. And yeah, this is all terrible to me. This is all terrible news. This is all bad news, guys. I'm not happy at all about this.
It shocked
That's what we're
me.
here for, Mike.
Go ahead. It shocked me so hard, Mike, that like when I found it out, I couldn't believe it. I thought, are you shitting me? You mean that they're eating us? Like, is that the point? But I think that after you get over that initial shock, you understand that if the bad part's true, then the good part's true too. That there is a good side and that light always destroys darkness and that we will have a golden age after all of this, where mankind learns its lessons from the past and we evolve into the next kind of, I don't know exactly what it'll look like. I don't believe humanity as we know it will exist after this next year or so finishes up doing what it's doing. But I believe we will be better, more evolved spiritually, and we've got some really, really beautiful things to look forward to.
And I agree with you there. I think the interesting part about all this, about 2020 being such a terrible year for so many things, is that not just at this year and this moment. I think probably in the past, you could sliding scale 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years. I think that the amount of people that are opening their eyes is incredible. Like we're actually, I think that whatever that ascension is as a thing is happening. I think it is. It just seems like there's more people that are willing to listen and talk about these things. Even though like we talked about the political acid and the division politics and the families being divided and all this other garbage, right? It still seems like there's a ton more people out there that, as opposed to 20 or 30 years ago, that this type of conversation is becoming more and more okay. And it's not, it doesn't have to be denominational, like we can realize that we're all the same mud with the same divine spark inside. And we're able to share that, and be able to realize we're on the same journey together. Yeah, there's a lot there. Like it does. When you think about it really deeply, it should rattle you, I think. But I think there's good news. I think you're right. I think there is good news coming.
Well, we got to be rattled, Mike. That's what makes us come out of the slumber. See, I think people forget that when the serpent put Adam asleep, he never woke him back up. Right? He never woke him back up. He just left him in that deep sleep. And this is us right now, humanity, snapping out of that deep sleep. We're all kind of, and we help each other do that. There's nothing wrong with being rattled a bit. You need to. That's what'll get your attention. But once you've got your attention, you have to understand that having a spirit of fear in any way, shape, or form will only be detrimental to you. And we fear what we do not understand. So if it snaps you awake, then it's time to start seeking. If you seek with your whole heart, I promise you will find, because God wrote the truth on your heart. And I think it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there. And more I'm seeing that people are seeing like and understanding the fact that we are one family. We are just the human family. Color, race, religion, all of these things, sexuality, sexual orientation, sex, none of those matter. It's all about just embracing one another. And those differences that we do have, it just shows that we were each handcrafted individually by the Creator. So instead of focusing on the differences that make us special and unique, we should come together over the things that we do share. And I think that we do all share a common goal to be more, to be better, and to embrace love and take our species to where it's supposed to be. So
yeah. It's out there. Like you said, if there's the negative, there's also the positive that comes with it. I appreciate that sentiment. Okay, let's play this last bit about Archons, and then we can just go wherever you want to go after this. We'll just talk about that maybe the spiritual war. I think we kind of have been covering that quite a bit on what's actually happening here, and maybe who's in control of that. And I want to ask you some questions after this regarding maybe those world leaders that you kind of pointed out to us. So we'll get to that in a sec. Let's play. This is the final clip from that YouTube video. And again, I just for clarity, I wanted to make sure that we got the entire story here of where Archons are, where they came from. This is a very brief description of that, and it is from those texts, the Gnostic Gospel, but. There's a ton more, so don't take this as the word of anything. Just this is a very brief description, and I thought it was a great timeline to kind of lead us through the conversation here. So let's go. Final part on Archons and why they're jealous of mankind and the negative influence that they bring to us, and then from there we can we'll hit aliens and everything else after this. All right, part 7, Archons action.
Thus the rulers are ever at work, devising laws and commandments whereby they might constrain the children of men. They masquerade as messengers of light, or even as the true God himself, and demand obedience and worship. They thus deceived many well-intentioned prophets and seers, and came to dominate large numbers of humans. The law of Moses was, at least in part, similarly inspired by the rulers, for Moses could not make distinction between true transcendental God and the chief of the tyrant Archons. Jesus, who descended from the high aeons, came to advance the defeat of the tyrant angels by teaching humans how they might become free, and by bringing them mysteries that would act as weapons against the wiles of such adversaries. The chief ruler, in his blindness, did not discern that Jesus was of such a high and divine origin. He assumed him to be merely a troublesome human who could be murdered. He thus incited the priests and Pharisees to condemn Jesus to death. Jesus, being other than human, did not die, although he permitted the illusion of his physical death. He returned in glory and completed his work of redemption in spite of the plans of his enemies. The assault on his person had brought such consequences upon his persecutors, however, that soon the temple at Jerusalem was destroyed, and the circumstances changed in such a way that many could renounce the old law that was influenced by the rulers. The spiritual freedom brought by Jesus only prevailed for a brief period of history, and the tyrant angels began to corrupt the message of the good news once more. The battle of the forces of light against the tyrant Archons continues, but the outcome is not in question. The forces of redemption are destined to prevail, bringing gnosis and liberation to the sparks of light hidden in humanity. Defeat will come to the blind and foolish tyrant angels who have for so long ruled in their kingdom where, like usurpers, they establish their illegitimate dominion.
So there is a positive message there. Like this has been written, like Kelly says there in the chat, written in stone. This so there is an actual positive outcome to this. It's just the calm before the storm, and then that type of situation going on, right? Todd, get out of here, Todd. It has nothing to do with that. I think if you actually listen to what's going on in I'm talking to Todd in the chat, by the way. Yeah, okay. You guys there? Testing. 1, 2.
Over here.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a lot of dark stuff, but it's like the main story is we've descended into darkness, and it would be worse if we weren't made aware of the darkness that we were descending into. If we were completely clueless, and we are really clueless. Nobody knows if they're right about anything if we're being honest with ourselves. And it's hard, but at the end of the day, the point is, if you follow, positivity and you stay, following that truth, that what is the truth, and you keep following God, then, you're going to make it out. That's kind of the story, right? You do what's right, just follow Jesus as the example, is really what this whole thing's trying to say. And so it comes with a lot of negativity, going into, the Anunnaki and reptilians and everything, but at the end of the day, it's trying to say, hey, these people are jealous because you have the chance to escape the system. They're stuck in it.
And we're stuck. Yeah, and we're stuck in it. We're stuck in it.
Well, no, we're not stuck in it. We're currently in it.
Right. That's true. That's true.
We get to come out.
That's true. At some point. That's true. That is true. Yeah. So there's
stuck.
that. And again, right. Okay. So is there another word that you know of? Anybody out there that? So I know when people use the term Jesus, it turns folks off because they run. Right. They're like, oh God, religion. Right. I'm out of here. I'm gone. I'm out. Right? Is there another term for this this ascension, this enlightened experience that is not that particular name? Is there any other names of this that you're aware of?
The experience of having been enlightened, or the process of ascending?
I'm not sure. I like whatever. I don't know. Like maybe the process and then the ascension itself. Just curious. I'm not trying to call it something else. I'm just wondering. You know how the Greek gods and the Anunnaki and the Egyptian gods, and they all have like you can equate one god to the other in different pantheons all throughout history. And again, tracing back to the Anunnaki and all the rest of this. I'm just curious if there's like a maybe 2 or 3 or 4 different ways to refer to it that might not run people off when, like I said, religion has become a dirty word for a lot of people. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, the term Jesus as well. So just kind of curious if there's another term for that anybody out there knows.
Well, yeah, if you know in chat, say it too. But I think at a high level, if anyone talks about the idea of ascending or going up the ladder, or some people say Jacob's ladder means, it's the ladder up to ascend, or any kind of thing like that is probably talking about that, raising your consciousness or raising your vibrations, or all those things are really talking about the same process. And if you look into it, like you're saying, you draw all these analogies and you can figure out, okay, well, this person is that person, they're all the same. At the end of the day, they all have different nuanced details to them, but the high level story tends to always be the same story over and over again.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be. And like I said, lots of different ways to really describe the same story. You could, again, picking out different characters, you could put everything together, Gilgamesh and the whole thing. Like there's so much that's actually connected here that way back to the very first written languages. It's a little bit, it's a lot. It's actually a lot. It's a lot to really wrap your mind around. And it takes a ton. It takes a ton to learn and a ton of time to really get into it. And the only reason I ask is because, I think there are ways, there are good things about this, but particular buzzwords or keywords or, like that in particular. I'm not saying don't say that. I'm just saying that when you do, people tend to spurg out sometimes, like they'll freak on you. So, so is there maybe a softer way? Like what I mean? A less buzzwordy way to get people in, speaking in terms of, words mean something and words or spells and, these types of things. Is there a way, to kind of, talk about the ascension with people and maybe this negative energy versus the good energy. And again, where are we sitting with all this and how this is all a thing. So that's the only reason I ask. I'm not trying to, reshape everything the way it should be. I'm just curious if there's other terms. Let's see. We got some good comments here. Larry says, let's see, begotten, not made, Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. So there we go. There's one that's not Jesus. Let's see. Some good stuff from chat here. Let's see. Yeah. Jeez. See again, people spurging out in the chat, right? People spurging out in the chat. People freak. People freak when you say these words. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
I mean, everybody has their own version of it, I think. But at the end of the day, it's like I really believe that the people who are supposed to find it will find it. I think that's kind of what it comes down to. And as long as everybody that feels like they have something to say keeps spreading the message, that's what's important. We don't all have to be right. People who think they're right are probably not right. They're probably lying. But, people who have a good idea of what, they put all the pieces together, there's someone worth listening to, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. Go ahead.
Nobody has the whole picture, but we all have a part of it, and it's up to us to kind of put it together as much as we can. But even if we didn't for some reason, which I don't think is a likely thing to happen, I think we'd still learn what we're supposed to learn, and the lessons in life that we have, I think, are the ones we're supposed to have at the end of the day.
Yeah, and again, right? So to kind of take all this and smear it as religious talk like Todd's doing there in chat. Like I said, people spurg out. I mean, Todd's a special case or whatever, but there, it does, like, you say these things and people get weird. People get weird around you. So that's all. And you're totally right. You're totally right about that. About being like we all have our own journey. I think that's probably the best way to put it there. So
most of these writings even say that's going to happen. Like in the Bible, it literally says, people who follow Jesus are going to be looked down upon. People who it says people are going to lose their heads because they support the name of God or whatever. Like, I don't know the exact words in the scripture, but at the end of the day, that's something that it talks about, is that most people have been deceived to an extent that they can't come back out of it now. Not because they aren't allowed to, but just because they won't allow themselves to be reasonable anymore. And we're probably in those times.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think there's no doubt about that. Again, like I said, all the division and hate, it's pretty obvious. What's up, Adam? Says in chat, aliens are the fallen angels. You should all know this by now. Okay, there we go. Now we all know.
Yeah, I mean,
we've all been enlightened.
Yep. And, it talks about the serpent being a shapeshifter. How many stories have we heard about reptilians being shapeshifters? The Bible talks about, I think there's a lot of different kind of depictions of what this means, but in Jude, it talks about how some will wear the strange skin. And, some people think the strange skin actually is the technology used to make yourself look like somebody else. People think that they're cloning people, but maybe they're just using people's DNA to compose a fake hologram of themselves to seem like they have the skin that they don't. And it all comes back down to, the theories that people some difference in, did they come from space? Are they just in their dimension? But at the end of the day, does it really matter? It's like we're trying to learn and discover. Then if we found a new being, or if we figured out that there's an ancient being there that we didn't know about, either way, that's a discovery, right? And interestingly, the texts have talked about it this whole time, but people are, unlocking it more and more every day.
Yeah, agreed. I couldn't agree more. There's just there's a lot here. A lot of good chat we could read. Is John there? What's up,
Yep.
John? What's up, buddy?
It goes on forever. I don't know where John is. I think he's muted. I don't
That's okay.
know how.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah. Let's bring Ash in, and we're about to talk about aliens anyway. So I think that's probably a good time. Are you there, Ash? You said you want to jump in and say hi. Come on in. We're about to talk about. So we've talked about Archons and how they're maybe the same thing as demons or aliens, and Archons is this negative energy from the Gnostic Gospel, and they have a certain interest in people because they cannot have our consciousness. And again, like I said, this goes back to that the belief in aliens where you have the grays that maybe don't have their own consciousness, and the reason why they're interested in us is because of that. Matter of fact, I've got some interesting information here that Tom DeLonge says a lot of that. I've been listening to some of his old interviews recently, and he was kind of saying some very similar things about aliens, which you could literally just substitute alien for the word Archon and almost everything the man said, and it makes perfect sense all the way through. So yeah, definitely crazy stuff regarding that. Let's see. Kelly says the answer.
And there's two.
Sorry, go ahead. Go right ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you.
I was just going to say, and the two biggest schools of thought for how grays existed is one, that they're essentially us from the past or future, right? And that they had gone the wrong way and lost their soul. So could they be versions of us from the third world that can transcend time? Maybe. And it actually goes with the idea that they could have been created by the reptilians or the Archons. The other one that's really big is not that they're us from a different space or time, but it's also that they're a biological robot created by another extra-dimensional or extraterrestrial entity. So almost every single gray story really comes down to the idea that it could have been the Archons that created them, or the reptilians, and the reptilians really are just representing with the Archons.
or I've heard many times that they are projections of ourselves, like spiritual projections, that we've basically, if we were all pieces of God, right, that we have created ourselves, the angels, the fallen, and it's all really projections of that ultimate source, projections of ourselves to stimulate growth through stress or conscious elevation through stress, as if you put a seed in the dirt, right? You cover it in dirt and it's in darkness and it has to fight and struggle its way to the light. And once it, reaches that light, it blooms, right? It buds. And it's kind of like the same type of process with us here. We need that darkness, that negativity to oppose us and create stress to stimulate growth. And, all the archons and demons and things like that are really just projections of our own darkness. I mean, that's a theory. But
well, that actually kind of goes back to the first theory. Like, if they were from the old world and they lost their souls, it could be a projection of that, right?
Sure. Yeah, it could be. And I think it's just, and here's the thing, like whenever we look at these type of things, you can look at it in many perspectives. You can look at it as the biblical perspective of we are separate beings. There is the omnipresent God, the angels, and the ones that rebelled, and then there's us. Or you can look at it as conscious creation is one unifying source, and we manifest expressions of all types. It's just an ocean of consciousness, and each entity or creation is an individual ripple in that ocean. And it's God basically creating every possible persona, every possible entity, every possible scenario, and bringing it back to itself as a way to, I don't know, I guess learn, grow. Who knows? Maybe each experience becomes a God of its own creation. And this is God's way of doing that, is by letting you experience every possible scenario, then you become God of a new creation. I don't know. I just think it's really interesting concepts when we really look at consciousness, spirit, and the ether and how it all works. I mean, some people believe that consciousness is the fall, that when you're in perfectness of God, there is no consciousness. It's just nothing. Have you ever heard the Alan Watts speech where he says she's black? He's speaking about God, and they say, well, what's God like? He says she's black, right? Because it's the inverse of what we would perceive. We perceive God as a father, patriarchal figure in a positive aspect, and light. Well, that would be kind of our perspective, but in truth, he's saying that God would be nothingness. It would be darkness. It would be negativity. It'd be before all things. So that's why he said she's black. We don't embrace the fact that there's two sides, positive and negative, light and darkness, male and female, and it shows up in everything that we know and understand.
Yep.
Wow.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Like again, I not having a huge breadth of knowledge on this stuff, meaning just the Gnostic Gospels and the rest of this. It's to me, it's a lot to think about, right? It is a mouthful. It's a mindful, and so you end up trying to put the dots together on the fly here. It's not so easy. Yeah, like I said, everybody's a critic. Everybody out there in the chat, everybody is slinging the hate. You guys in your hating division, you're bullshit in the chat. I see you out there. I'm calling you out. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy, right? Like, thinking on the fly all the time when you're kind of out of your depth here. So that's okay. I'm not scared. I'm not worried. I am undeterred. We move on. I've got this article here. I want to ask you guys about this. It's from newsintact.com. It's alien news, matter of fact. And it says, a race of aliens called Archons ruled the earth, revealed in new discovered ancient texts. Let's get to aliens now. Let me ask you, regarding that, do you think Archons are actually able to take the form of people and walk the earth? And that's maybe what some of the madness is going on now? Or is there some sort of energy vampire connection like Bailey had mentioned? Is there something there where it's not a direct manifestation of an archon to a person, to a physical person, but instead the influence is so strong that they may as well be humans? What do you think?
A little of both. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. I'm fixing my screen. You go ahead first.
Okay, yeah. I was just saying, I think it's a little bit of both. I think initially, I think the only way that they could work is through energy. You know, I think they're probably masters of frequency and energy. You know, just masters of knowing things about energy. And I think that's how they actually first probably communicated with us and tried to bring us down to trick us to be in this system, right? But over time, I think that we the sons of God, mixed with the Elohim or whatever, right? And at some point, you know, I think that created a race of like reptilian-like beings, and that comes into the idea that reptilians are able to hold souls, but the Archons aren't. If you've heard that before, they aren't actually to have like real souls, but they can have like mock souls or whatever. But I think the real thing to get down to there is that I think they've at this point found a way to not be able to be bodies that hold souls, but to be able to have the technology to trick us into us not knowing the difference, if that makes sense. Like if they are such masters of frequency that they can make they have a technology that could make them seem like a physical being standing on this earth because they created this earth, right? Through us and through tricking us, then at the end of the day, I think it means that they probably have the technology as well to, you know, shapeshift like it's talking about, but be here in bodies. I think probably Archons are starting to exist inside of bodies through genetic manipulation over time.
So it's possible.
Okay, so what was the question again, Mike?
Are Archons able to, as far as you understand it, become people? Like let's say the leaders of the world are just a bunch of like salacious assholes, and that's what they do, right? They're just bringing the world down and making things awful and literally not doing anything right. Okay, so now clearly they're under the influence of stupidity, for one, that's for sure, right? Greed and lust and all the other things that they're influenced by. But Archons themselves, is it possible that they can become human, like Bailey was saying, like some sort of shape-shifting situation, or is it all some sort of energy transfer and influence instead from like a demonic presence you would expect, something like that?
My opinion is this, that the human body, right? Because we, you know, and this is, once again, I take it back to biblical, but there's other things that support it as well. That our reality is electromagnetic and plasmatic. 99% of our universe is plasma, 1% us. Scientists have found holographic tension points within reality. So when you think of like a holographic universe, you would think of a magnetic hologram. So this scientifically kind of jives with what the Bible says, that we were created in the image of the Elohim. The image meaning a phantom, a projection, an illusion, a vain show, or a show of vanity, and an idol. Right? So that means we're not real. We're an illusion. We're projected. Right? So if we're projected, our DNA would be our genetic code, our molecular program for this simulation, which allows our individual spiritual frequency to connect to our body, our vehicle, and not allow it to connect to anyone else. So think about that. If we are Adam, or we are angels, or whatever we are allowed to take human form, then it only makes sense that, say, another entity, as in like a fallen angel or a seraphim, something different than Adam, would also be able to tune a body into the right frequency to match their spiritual essence and walk amongst us and look just like us.
Okay, so it is possible. So you think there is some sort of
absolutely possible. Yeah, and look, this is why I believe the elite. Okay, when you look into the Bible, it talks about the Nephilim, Raphaim, Gibborim, or the heroes of old, heroes of renown. They're speaking of a particular bloodline, which is the Nephilim, which means the fallen. They weren't all giants. So when you look into the royalties, the monarchs, and the priesthoods of all of our times, what they are and why they have that ruling right is because they have that seraphic blood. That's why they mate amongst each other. And that's why they do their blood rituals. That's why they have their hedonistic practices, because they, in fact, are Nephilim. They're not human. That's why they have no empathy.
Okay, that makes sense. So is there a lot, do you think, or is it not? It's
no,
maybe
there's not
more
a lot.
Rare, more rare here on Earth, but there is some sort of connection there where these people, let's say, let's just pick a random leader from wherever. I'm not going to say a name because I'll piss somebody off. But
Rothschilds. Just say Rothschilds.
Okay. There you go.
The name means red shield, which is representation of Saturn. All their sun cult stuff is not talking about Sol Invictus. It's talking about the Saturn sun, or Kronos, which is Father Time, or the architect of this construct, which is Satan, the god of this world. So everything they do is in worship of Satan. When they close one eye, for that Illuminati stuff, it's for Satan. When they hold up the little OK sign with their hands, that 666 is for Satan. The hexagon, the Star of David, is actually the Star of Moloch, which is a Canaanite practice where they sacrifice children to an owl. X's, anything. It's the cross. Everything is cube worship. You see Judaic worship, they wear a cube on their head. The Kubala, right? Cube, 6-sided, Satan, the black cube. Muslims, they go in circles around a black cube. That's the rings of Saturn, the black cube. Satan. Christianity, the whole thing, the cross is an unfolded cube. They wear a ring over the top of an angel's head like a halo. That's a ring of Saturn. You wear a ring on your finger when you get married, ring of Saturn. It's all a death cult, the Saturn death cult. They're all worshiping Satan, and they're getting you to do it too. And whenever you go in front of a judge and you swear in and you give away your rights, you're giving him, in place of God, sovereign rulership over you, the state. Right, over you. The United States was turned into a corporation whenever the District of Columbia was created. The DC flag has 3 pillars. Those are the 3 pillars of Babylon: the Vatican, London, the economic center, and the war power, which is the United States. The President of the United States is the CEO of this corporation. They went from United States of America to all caps, the United States of America. And this was done by the Rothschilds when they compromised the royal crown. UK then spread into the Germanic Empire. They conquered all the czars through the Bolshevik Revolution. This was all the fallen angels, the Nephilim bloodline, going and conquering each and every bit of humanity, and then taking through media, all of it. They have the whole world under their palm now, and this is the capstone, is the Mashiach, the Antichrist, and they believe that they have to bring about all of the prophecies, the war and all of that. That's why Trump withdrew from every nuclear treaty. That's why Trump withdrew from Syria to allow Turkey in to create the Gog-Magog alliance. That's why everything is happening the way it is. That's why they just backed the federal-backed stable coin, which is a crypto. That's why Trump declared national emergency at 3:11, at 3:33. It's part of a ritual. It's the second 9/11. There'll be a third 9/11 at the end of October with the blue moon on Halloween, mass sacrifice. The fiery red horse that rolls out in Revelations is talking about a sacrifice. They just printed a coin, the Abraham Accord Peace Treaty. They promise peace and security before sudden destruction comes upon them, and they will not escape. That coin has a sign of Jonah on it. That's the only sign that you get before the end of the world in the Bible, and you already got it. It's a little dove with a branch in its feet right before the sword ends in Saturn.
And here's an interesting thing about the blue moon. Now that you bring it up, is on Halloween we have the blue moon happening. It's also the second. It's the new moon. It's the second full moon of the month, right? It's also a full moon. So the only time the last time this has happened is in 1944. So it's been almost been halfway to 100 years now since we've been in a situation like the 31st. So it's likely that, they're going to use this as like a cult ritual, because it's not every day they can use all of the powers of those things together if they believe in that, right? If someone believes that the energies are aligned that way, and especially when we're talking about the Archons, we have to think about the idea that, they only work in energy for the most part, whether it's manipulating your mind through energy, whether it's, manipulating your perspective in some way. At the end of the day, when all of these things come together, they're going to want to turn it into a ritual. So, I think that, definitely something's going to come on the 31st, like John was saying, with the blue moon as a whole moon, which is a really rare incident,
They kicked off my stream, guys.
Yeah, I see that.
I think your internet disconnected.
People in chat there saying you were taken down. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. What did you say? What did you say that I didn't say? What the hell just happened?
It's what I'm telling you. It's what I'm telling you. They don't. Your audience has never heard anything like what I'm saying, and I'm just being for real with you. Like,
well, I don't know. We say some pretty crazy shit. That's for sure.
Yeah, but you don't say nothing like this. Like, you're not telling people like what they're about to do to everyone and stuff. And that's what I mean. They don't want people to hear that. That's why they just knocked me off the air. They do it a lot. And, I'm not a prophet. I'm not a seer. I'm nobody special. I'm just a regular dude. But the truth is, like, what I'm saying is true. And that's why. So.
Yeah, I understand. I get it. We get our technical issues as well. It's weird, right? Because we're all running YouTube and everything. We're all running the same shit. That's the weird part. And then like everything you say is also on this stream. So yeah. Who knows what's actually going on here? Okay, so regarding all this now back to let's bring it all back around then to the aliens then. So with the Anunnaki story. And we're talking about Archons and basically how all this, again, goes back through the Bible and the Sumerian texts and everything. Like literally back to the beginning of the written language. The written earth language is basically, we're talking about the Anunnaki. So regarding all of that and Archons and, the Gnostic Gospels and the rest of this, what do you guys think about aliens then? So is there a different faction of flesh and blood aliens? Like are reptilians a real thing, or is there some sort of like continual spiritual connection that this is all one big thing? This is all just one big whatever it is, right? I know in the beginning, John, you said that like a lot of the lights in the sky we see there's something, right? They're going to be military. They'll have explanations for the most part, and I agree with you that there's a lot of actual things you can kind of quantify as this or that or the other thing, right? Or a military thing that we would never know about, and so we say UFO, right? But clearly, probably not aliens in most of those cases. But what about flesh and blood aliens? What about this world from the rest of the universe? And are they encroaching on us, or is it different? Is it related? I have no idea.
Yeah, they're, and I'm gonna watch what I say. I don't want to get you in trouble, man. But basically, the aliens are real in the sense of anything that you would classify as an alien is not human, right? It's not you. They are interdimensional entities, and the demons and stuff that you see on Earth were actually the children of the watchers that mated with man. They were cursed to walk the earth, while the fallen were thrown into the pit, which that's what CERN and all the rituals and things like that are about, is to bring them out of the pit. They've been feeding off of your darkness this whole time to feed the locust in the bottomless pit, and that's what will come out when all the cataclysms happen. They'll come flying out of the bottomless pit. And they have scorpion tails, and they will sting people. And if you're an evil person, you might just turn into one too, because a nation means a flight of locusts. See, we don't understand, but human is not real. It's just a projection. You're either one of them or you're an angel. That's what it boils down to. There's no such thing as a human. It's an illusion. And that was the trick. That was the fall. And so what we would call aliens would be fallen angels. And of course, they're going to play out some type of invasion They have the technology and things like that, and people probably even disappear. But there's no such thing as outer space. It's the waters of the firmament, and there's not a bunch of galaxies and planets and things like that. It's those stars are the heavenly host. Those are angels. You're made of light on the inside, and you were spoken into existence through the vibration of sound. That's why the Word was with God. You're part of the Word. Jesus is the Word. So, it's people don't understand, but it's really so simple that it's all about light and sound, positive and negative. It's magnetism and electricity. That's why God is called electric, right? So, everything that you've been told they're all distractions to make you think you're some cosmic accident spinning on a little ball and you're insignificant and nothing matters about you. But the truth is, everything is actually orbiting around us. We're the center of creation. We always were. And the war in heaven is over us. We're the prize.
Okay, I got you.
I think there are physical aliens, though, but I think the psyop, if you will, is that the aliens aren't from here. I think we have a lot of beings that are from here that just live under the earth. I think it's wild that we live on the crust of the earth. We're running around getting cancer all day from the sun. I think, at the end of the day, I think that there's people, beings that live underground. I think that's what the Greys are. And I think there's other beings that live in other dimensions. I think that's a mixture of what the reptilians are. I think some of them probably live underground too. But at the same time, we talk about the locust coming out from the pit. That's a story that comes out of the Bible. So people saying that's too far out there, he's just saying what the Bible says right there. And it's not just the Bible, a bunch of Gnosis talks about it, everything. And if you think it's too far out there, again, think about the fact that how many times have we talked about mantis beings? Insects that are bigger than us may exist below ground too. At the end of the day, I think most creatures probably, as they evolve, start moving away from the crust, because at the end of the day, you also don't, there's a lot more dangers out here than there are down there.
Yeah, I mean, given the cycles of the sun,
the bottomless pit is, yeah.
I
mean, the sun, cataclysms. You've got asteroids hitting the planet. If you evolve way past where we're at now, you would be like, why the heck are we still out here on the crust of this thing? And I think that's happened. We talk about tall whites. We talk about all these different aliens that exist. But at the end of the day, I think the psyop is that they're out there in space and that they came here through space. They may have came here through an extra dimensional system, and they may be able to get to places that are, foreign to us because we haven't seen them. But it's likely that it's just as likely they could be under the ocean. They could be underground. We don't know what's down there. And I think we've been lied to a lot about what's there.
Yeah, and again, that so back to flesh and blood aliens. That means Mars, right? Like that's of course the highly speculative thing is that if aliens are on Mars, like flesh and blood, then they're underground. Like you can put a telescope up there. You don't even have to have that much money anymore to really see Mars.
That's
right.
That's what they're going to psyop you with. Is they're going to say they're on Mars. They're already preparing that. They're showing images from plates from NASA right now of beings on Mars right now.
Yep.
And they're saying that they're going to come from there. And when they pull
water on Mars.
Yeah, when they pull the invasion thing, they're going to have come from Mars. And the reason being is because in witchcraft and the occult, Mars is at opposition with us, and it just squared Pluto, which is the perfect time for war and a ritual.
Yep, and then you have the October 31st moon situation,
Yeah.
The killing moon. But then at the same time, you have the fact that, the CIA just released that weird document talking about how there were people hiding in a pyramid on Mars that they reached out through astral projection or something. I don't know if you saw that, but there's so many clues that just popped up in the last 3 to 6 months about them trying to admit aliens exist and them trying to say they're from Mars. You have Trump getting asked all the time by Trump fans, what about the Roswell aliens you brought up? That's not an accident. He didn't bring that up just so people wouldn't talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's Project Bluebeam.
Yeah. That's again right. For however this leads, right? This COVID thing to whatever it ends up becoming. That like that. That's been a lot of the speculative Project Bluebeam is the fake alien invasion, right? That they're able to swoop in and take whatever they want freedom-wise away from whoever they want. And who's going to argue? Like, literally, if you believe it's happening, right? If, like, the masses believe it's happening, that the war of the worlds is upon us, the government does what it wants. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy stuff here. Kelly says it's the Igigi from Mars, reading a little bit of the chat. Gigi, I think, is what you were calling them. The Anunnaki, right? They created the worker race. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Gigi.
Yeah.
And that could be the Greys.
That is the Greys. If you look at how they're described, the Ajiji would most definitely be the Greys. And they were a slave race, and they rebelled against the Anunnaki. They were supposedly like sent to watch. So that's, that would mean in that scenario that there is no good guys, that the gods were bad because they were the Anunnaki. Enki would be the false light Lucifer. Enlil would be Satan, and then the Ajiji would be the Watchers that, came down here. So, I mean, there's no good guy in that scenario. I think the most important thing for everybody to do, and I don't mean to be like, I'm not religious at all, but is remember that no matter what you see, no matter what happens, and I know they cut me off because I was telling you about what's about to happen, that no matter who they present you with, it's not Jesus. And, understand that God, it wins in the end. And this is a great deception for a reason, and it'll deceive many, So
yeah,
you just have to be strong through what's about to happen, because it's about to happen very soon.
It feels like it, though. Okay, so let me ask you this then. So it does feel like something's about to happen, right? But I think the way the media and the way the energy and the way, social media and everything, the way everything seems to be, like you feel this pressure, like this building pressure, like something is about to happen. Okay, like you feel it, but I don't buy it that it's about to happen. So okay, so speaking in terms of eschatology, right? And the end of the world, and whatever you want to call it, the rapture or whatever this happens to be, like if you turn off all your screens and never look back, right, and you spend time with the trees and the grass and with people that love you, you know what I'm saying? Does it feel like something terrible is going to happen then? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm stuck in this weird juxtaposition of the two points where I think that the psyop is they want us to believe some shit's about to go down, some really big shit's about to go down, so that when it does happen, when they make it happen, we're not surprised. But I really don't think there's anything like imminent. I don't think World War III is on the horizon. I don't think the rapture is around the corner. I don't think any of this is happening. I think that they want us in this let's say you would call it a system of unease, something like that, right? I think that's how they want us. But I think whatever is coming is manufactured. I just don't think there's something to this that will make it, whatever this culmination of negativity. I don't feel it. You know what I mean? I think that we are what we perceive, and the brainwash, everything around us is kind of turning us into this, I don't know, this scared of what comes next, and I'm not so sure we should be scared of that.
I like that view because I would agree with you in the aspect of, I do believe that, the prophecies and things like that, the scriptures, they were to make us manifest these type of things. This is how it works. This is why they show you everything before it happens, to make you manifest it and bring about their rituals and their prophecies. You're right. But here's the problem. These things have already manifested. And yes, we should be focusing on positivity. We shouldn't be helping assist it, along any further, because that's exactly what they want. But also we need to recognize that, that they've achieved where they needed to achieve. And we're at a certain point to where I believe that there is there's a certain point where the timeline kind of, that's it, and you hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And you're right. They do want us to feed into this. They want us to be afraid. They want us to be nervous. They want our energy. So I agree with a lot of what you say, Mike. I think that you're really brilliant in even recognizing that, because most people don't see that part of it.
Yeah, thank you. That's nice. But
I
think that's
psyop,
it.
but
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry.
No, go.
I was just saying it may be a psyop, but there's so much going for them right now that I don't think they'll miss the opportunity. If you ask me,
No.
they're all a cult. They're all. I'm not going to say the name of it because I don't think we're allowed to. But at the end of the day, they're all a cult and they're worshiping the darkness, right? And you need to realize what's happening. I think they've been telling us I'm not saying you need to realize what happens, but the listeners and people wanting to learn about what's going on. We could be totally wrong, but I seriously think something's going to happen on the 30th that's going to extend to the 31st.
Don't say no dates, Bailey.
I'm saying I think this. I could be completely wrong. I'm not saying I believe it. Just this is my thoughts right now. And it's because those dates mean something. Saturday is the day of Saturn. The cube of Saturn, it all comes back to the cube again. That's the reason why they worship on those days. The 31st, Halloween, is the day of Moloch. Right? And on that day, it's going to be the first new moon, blue moon, and full moon since 1944. And they're going to want to leverage that energy. And, I don't know how they're going to do it. Maybe the EMP power outage thing, who knows? But whatever it is, it's something that they're going to try to make use of. It's the same reason why the election is always on the first Tuesday of November. Tuesday is the day of Mars. Mars is the god of war.
Yes,
You're
and it's also
your next chief of war.
Well, they're also going off the prophecy too, because Trump got a lot of people, when they think about the two beasts in the Bible, they think about him getting a fatal wound to the head as like a gunshot or something. Trump just got the fatal wound and lived. It means plague or a scourge. So when he got that virus and lived, that was that plague or scourge to the head that he lived through. So, and then that Abraham Accord peace coin, and then they just made an Artemis Accord peace treaty on the moon. So it's about to pop off, y'all. Like that's the Bible says when those things happen, it's done.
Because if it's not, then the celestial events need to be accounted for. You have to believe the Archons are just moving things around. Which,
and then look, Bailey,
it's possible, but I think it's unlikely.
Well, look, Bailey, we're now seeing the giant winged planet come in too. I mean, I've got pictures of a giant fireball with wings that is very close, and it's got a bunch of objects around it. You can see it. And I believe that's Satan being thrown down from heaven. So. Yeah, they've destroyed my quality on the channel and everything. They really don't want people to see it. So,
yeah. You guys carry on for just a minute here. I'm gonna do some trimming the weeds real fast on the YouTube channel here.
Got some cleaning to do?
Yeah, I do. Carry on for just a moment. Give me just a moment. I'm gonna yeah.
John, I don't mean to run around and be saying, oh yeah, this date something's going to happen. I'm not trying to say that. I just want to make sure people are prepared in case something does,
Yes, I do know.
That someday we have to make sure people, are ready to see if an event does occur on that day, which I'm not saying it will, but if it does, people should know not to fall for it. Say no to people when you need to. You have that right. And don't let them take it from you is how I feel. And whether they do it with some giant thing in the sky with aliens, or they throw out the power and try to take you somewhere that they say is safe, whatever happens, I would just say no. If there's not an alien that's walking up and shaking my hand, don't tell, I can't say his name, but that guy who says don't shake your hand, don't tell him. But the point is, unless I can see it for myself, I'm not going to believe it, because there's too much going on right now that could lead to them trying to deceive you. And they have too much technology that they're not telling us about for us to believe that we're not being deceived at this point. That's how I feel about it. In order to trust the things that people are talking about, you also have to trust the people telling you them. And that is something I can't do.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, each person their own, you're welcome to believe whatever you wish to believe. I'm not telling you that, what to believe. I'm just telling you from my information what I think, where I think we're at, and what I think could possibly be going on. And I would encourage everybody to essentially just do their own research, search their own heart, spiritual discernment, critical thinking, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's on you. Yeah, you should be doing that with anything. But at the end of the day, it's on you.
And that's why I always make an emphasis to say, this is what I think, because, it's a lot easier to change a thought than a belief. And that's a quote from somebody. I'm not making it up on my own. I don't remember who the quote was. Otherwise, I would say maybe someone else does. Let me know who it is. But it's a lot easier to change your thoughts than your beliefs. So when I say I think something, I'm telling you what my thoughts are. I'm not telling you that I'm a strong believer that it's going to happen, And I think a lot of people don't make the difference there. And I think it's important that people think more and only believe things that they know to be true, right?
Absolutely, Bailey. Yeah, that's right. And I think that it is important to state, like, hey, this is my opinion. This is what I think, as opposed to this is fact. And I'm really careful about trying to scare people about cataclysms and things like that. But I do know my biblical prophecy very well. And I'm just telling you, as far as my perspective, which is, I'm not the end all be all. I'm not God. I'm no authority of any way, shape, or form. Sure. I'm just telling you from my perspective how I see it. You can take that or you can leave that. It's up to you.
Yeah, and it is all lining up. Like, it's pretty amazing how it's all lining up right now. Whatever's going on, right?
It's incredible.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm split, right? I kind of think both ways. That it certainly seems like we're on the precipice of something. But again, like I said, how much of that is media brainwash? How much of that is what they want us to believe? I think that's what I mean.
Point, Mike.
That's just what I mean. So literally, again, go back to that first thing I said. If you just turn everything off and walk away, like I always say this too. Like you turn the TV off, you open the front door, you walk out. And you look left and right. You know what I mean? Does it look like the world's really ending around you? You know what I mean? Like that? No, like typically, no. Like many places in the world, no.
Thing, Mike,
but then you have videos of people shooting down asteroids.
Yeah, you're compartmentalized, and you're not looking at the whole world. You're looking at a small window of focus. And that's what I'm trying to tell people. On my channel, what I do is I take them all across the world, and I show you just how last week 42 people were killed in a lightning storm. I show you how hundreds of thousands have been displaced from their homes, millions from flooding. Every volcano on Earth right now is erupting right now. All of the fault lines are exploding right now with over 2,000 degrees Kelvin. That goes New Madrid, San Andreas, Cascadia. That goes all the way across the world because we're about to magnetically reverse. And this is facts. We have the highest methane levels in the history of levels. Highest carbon, highest sulfur. There's a hole in the ozone layer over the Arctic no one's ever seen. The Arctic's on fire. It's over 100 degrees. We've lost half of our magnetic field strength. We have 2 north poles, 2 south poles. There's a bulge in the tropical zone. The equator is widening. And this is just the beginning. The oceans are getting warmer. The lakes are getting warmer. Everything that you thought was impossible, like UVC, is not supposed to be on the ground. It's on the ground. Radiation levels are the highest they've ever been. This is the truth. This is absolute truth.
And that's why you're the power company, and now it's moved to Oregon.
Yes, and this is what I'm trying to tell people. These cyclones, hurricanes, all of this, these are all your evidence. These Laharas, these wildfires, these floods, these are all your evidence. Nobody pays attention to the fact that the sun is having coronal mass ejections like it's going out of business during a minimum, right? It's not supposed to be doing shit but sleeping, yet it's exploding all over the damn place. Nobody's showing you how on the coronagraphs, Venus got struck by a Zeus bolt of lightning from a planet. See, these are the things you're not being told, but it's true. It's true. And it's happening. And if people would open their fucking eyes and look around the world at instead of what's right in front of their face, it would be so easy to see. But we only care about our own existence and what affects us. We don't care. As long as it ain't in our doorstep, we could care less. And that's the truth of the matter. famine is going to come because crops are being destroyed everywhere. There were millions and millions and millions of locusts in Africa this last summer. And that's not even the beginning of it. India, the flooding, the fires, all of it. People really better wake up because, you can do what you wish with your religious beliefs, your spiritual practices. But I'm telling you, you're not being told everything. And it's your own fault if you don't open your eyeballs and look for yourself. That's all I got to say about that.
I couldn't agree more. There is a shit ton of stuff happening, and it's all, of course, like it's not all positive. There's a shit ton of negative stuff going down, and all the stuff you just named there. That's like the tip of the iceberg. There's a ton more than that too, So
it is the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. No, I agree, and that's the thing, right? So I'm not blind to that. I'm just saying that like the energy that's being projected upon us as people, right, is that it's instead of it's being projected because they don't want us focusing on any number of the things that you just talked about. I saw recently they're going to dump like all that water from the Fukushima nuclear, whatever the hell happened, all the water they've been storing, they're going to just dump it into the ocean, like 2 million gallons of radioactive, just straight in the ocean. You know what I mean? And exactly, right? So an article comes out, it's like, whisk it away. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to think about it. Nobody you get 3 people out there raging with the sign, and it's I don't believe that the world is not kind of in a self-destructive decay phase. I think it is, and I think it is our fault because of many of the things that we're doing that are sloppy, that are grotesque, that are just plain outright stupid. But my point is that, like we were talking about consciousness and ascension, and I think that the difference is that instead of us being able to walk out and smell clean air around us and focus on the things you said, right, and the things that I've said that I've been saying for years now, like there's a ton of shit, like not just that, like digitally, you were speaking about the internet and like the DNA being manipulated and nanoparticles and like there's an unbelievable ton of shit.
That's why they kicked me off, man. Don't talk. I wouldn't talk about that. That's
okay,
why they kicked
is that
me
the
off.
one? Okay. Go ahead.
So
go
I
ahead,
would
Bailey.
say also.
Go ahead, Bailey.
I would also say though that, like, to your point, Mike, is like, yeah, all these things are going on, but we do have to see the bright side of it, and we do have to keep raising our vibrations, because right now the other thing that's going on is a lot of these things are planned, and it's a ritual. And we don't want to become part of the ritual by succumbing to fear, because, that's the whole point of this episode. To go back to the Archons, they feed on your fear. And this year, how much fear have they created so that they can release it with the energy of this new moon?
Nice, Bailey.
Right? That's what they're doing.
Yeah, nice. Cyclical.
Because
Sherry in chat here says it's a cycle. Nothing is our fault. So there you go. I mean, not to say that like give us all a clean slate as human beings, but it is cyclical, right? So what about this moon? If it doesn't happen, is it the next moon? Is the one after that? Like, I don't know my scripture, but I do know that the end is supposed to come like a thief in the night. Nobody knows the time, right? I do know that. Yeah. So you know what I mean? I almost feel like eschatology is its own thing. It's on its own timeline, and I think as people, we tend to again, I'm just talking about what I think, right? Again, I don't have the answers here. Yeah. So, but I do think that we end up trying to maybe push the end of the world in our lifetime. You know what I mean? It's like we think that we're so blessed to be living in the end of times when that mass ascension takes place. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, if you follow, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done. That was it. That was the point I was trying to make.
Well, if you follow reincarnation, then at some point you would have had to live through the end of the world, right? If you made it there.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
so are you really lucky to be living here? Only because you're still alive. But if this is the end of the world, and everybody follows the idea that you have to be lucky to have survived to the end of the world, you have to also disagree with the belief of reincarnation, which even phrases verses from the Bible have been removed because they talk about reincarnation. Reincarnation is something that most texts talk about, or at least allude to. And the other side of it is, when people say nothing's your fault, I think that's unfair because at the end of the day, you have to take fault for the things you've done and look at how you can do better. That's what I believe. At the end of the day, especially if this Archon stuff is true, it's not just your fault what you did, physically in this reality, but it's your fault how your energy affected it, right? Because you're the ones letting the Archons through, to be fair, through the lack of knowledge that you have. But, none of us have enough knowledge. As I said before, we have to put all the pieces together, and that's why they divide us, Divide and conquer exists because if we all got together and talked about what we knew and we're just happy and like high vibration about it, the world would ascend probably tomorrow, maybe instantly, but that's not how the world's going to work because they keep us in fear. It's like that despair effect, the despair code. That whole conspiracy is about the idea that there's a force that intentionally is always lowering our vibrations. It comes back to the Archons again. At the end of the day, we just have to sit back and realize, like Michael was saying, that, we have to be in a high vibrational state. We have to be in a state of truth, which I think is even more powerful than love. Everybody says be in a state of love, but I think truth is the highest power there, The
truth will set you free.
Yeah, we have to be in a state of truth, but at the same time, we also have to know what's coming. And although the Bible doesn't say, we will not know the time, that's true, right? It says that we will not know the time, but it does give us signs that we should be watching out for. So
Yes.
there is a way that we will know when it's coming, but we will not know when it's here, right?
Yep. And that's what I mean. Hey, those signs have happened, though. Is what I'm trying to tell you. It says when they promise you peace and security, sudden destruction will come upon them, and they will not escape. And then we will get. It says our adulterous age always looking for a sign. We'll get the sign of Jonah. It's that dove with the branch in its feet that is on the back of the Abraham Accord coin, which is the peace treaty, right? They're both in the same damn thing. And it's also got the great sword that takes peace from the earth with Saturn at the end of it and the dove. So you've gotten your sign. Everybody just got their sign.
Well, and not only that, so again, I'm going to just counter and just say this. I want everybody to be clear. We don't disagree here. This is not a debate. I'm just throwing out other food for thought. Okay, please don't think that, John.
Yeah, sure. I don't. No.
Okay.
And I welcome opposition or opposing views. I don't mean opposition. Opposing views. Other schools of thought. I welcome that.
Perfect. Again, like I wouldn't have had you guys on if I didn't think that was the case. I just want to make it clear for people out there that are like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, come on, like we can be friends and mostly agree, right? I mean, that's what I've always said. That's what I'm always going to say. I just don't even. I think that the most staunch, like lefty righty whatever paradigm. I think those people have more in common than they're ever allowed to really believe. And it's the same thing here, So it's not that, there's folks in chat. I don't know if you read the chat as we go. I'm not reading your chat. I'm reading mine. And there's a lot of division. There's a lot of division.
I know. Hey, I'm a polarizing dude. Man. I am, and I got strong opinions about things. But if anybody thinks I'm full of it or I'm lying, this is my challenge to you: go to my channel and prove me wrong.
Yeah, but it's not even that. Like, it's not. It's
I'm
not
just
like
saying, if it's not backed up by it, then prove me wrong, because I prove it through science. I prove it through text, theological scriptures, text, science, or observable evidence, and I do it not just on, a few things. I do it on everything. That's what I'm saying. If you don't believe what I'm saying to be true, go take a look for yourself, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to adopt some religion. You don't have to adopt some political paradigm. Matter of fact, I don't believe in organized religion or politics or anything of the sort, and everyone's accepted. It doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, trans, black, white, fat, skinny, short, tall. None of it matters. And everything's free, the websites, the discords, the communities, all of it. I'm just saying, if this rubs you the wrong way, consider it this. If you had the truth, then my words would not be able to shake your foundation whatsoever, right? Because it would be the truth, and the truth stands on its own. The truth is self-evident. So if your truth your foundation is being rocked by the words I say, then maybe you might want to check if you're really standing on the truth or not. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so we got a few minutes left here. We got about, let's say, 10, 12, 15, whatever we want to hang on for. I try and shoot for 3 hours. Check this out. So I found this, I got this up on the screen. I'm going to link this in chat. You should have it in my notes you got there. And Bailey, you can see the Tuesday show notes as well. This is unicusmagazine.com. And so they're saying there's the antidote for Archons. So my question is at the end of this, right? We had a lot of wide-ranging conversation about, the Gnosticism, Archons, the negative energy, maybe eschatology a little bit. Like we kind of been all over the place, which is good. I think these types of things are good because people need to hear what other people are thinking, right? Definitely good stuff. These guys are saying that there's a way we can defeat the Archons. Have you guys ever heard of that or have ideas of that? I can read a little bit of this if you're interested, but this is kind of, I was like, okay, well, if there's all this negative energy and it's being perpetrated on people by let's say demons, we're going to call them Archons, aliens, whatever you guys want to believe. Whatever you want to believe is up to you. But if this negative energy is raining on us, and it is, let's say it's the media, it's social media, it's everything combined. It's just the negativity of the world. Yeah. Is there a way to counter that? Is there a way to really change that into a positive thing? And I was kind of reading through some of this, and it's interesting. What do you guys know about that? Is there a way to maybe counter this negativity and spiritually, to be strong, to be like a good person to yourself and to the people around you? Is there a way to maybe defeat this and to move on from whatever negative energy they've been dumping on us?
You want to go first, Bailey?
For me, it's just you want to raise your vibrations. You want to always be, acting in the state of truth. You want to always be learning more. You don't, whenever you get hit with a sad feeling, you get depressed, you get hit with anxiety, anything like that, a lot of the time it's these beings, pushing it on you. So think to yourself, is there a reason that I feel this way? Or did it just get pushed on me? Because if it just got pushed on you, it could be, Archons or something, and, rise above it if you can. That's kind of like my model of it. It's like always be kind and helpful to others in ways you can, and always be truthful, even in small lies. You lie to yourself, if someone asks, is that okay? And you're not okay with it, don't say yes, because that's lying to yourself, At the end of the day, it's all about just being true to yourself and making sure that you're not spreading lies as much as you can. Nobody's perfect. We all have had, sins, or we've all done bad things, whatever you want to call it. But I think it's really about, staying positive, increasing your vibration by staying positive, and just looking towards the future with the learning that you've had.
Fantastic. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. Go ahead, John. Go ahead, John.
Well, I just believe that Archons are a parasite. They feed off of negativity. They feed off of anger and sadness. And my thought process is that the reason Christ told us that he gives us dominion over all things is because when we are in that state, we are out of their reach. When we are in an elevated state of consciousness, they can't affect us. That's why he said, turn the other cheek. When we engage them, every action there is a reaction, right? And we're only feeding into what they're trying to do. It says that God says, I'll put enmity between the serpent and your seed, right? Where it'll strike your heel and you'll strike its head, meaning you're standing above it. Once again, you're above that. So when you can find yourself when you go inside, right? And go face to face with the Most High, and seek peace, truth, love, understanding, you will rise above their reach. They won't be able to harm you. It's allowing them to have power over you in the first place, knowing who you are and knowing what they are, and that you have dominion over all things. So the only thing they can do to you is convince you of the illusion that they can do something to you. As long as you understand that they have no power over you, that you are over them, and that there's nothing they can do to change that, then you're in a good space. You know, it's the trick of witchcraft is to get you to accept the fact that it's true or that you're powerless, right? That's how it works. That's why I'll convince you of something to make you believe that I can do something to you. And once you believe it, you made it real. You've accepted it and you've given me dominion over you. It works the same way with demons and archons. So understand who you are, which is a son or daughter of the Most High, and nothing has dominion or power over you. It may spook you, whatever. You need to ignore it and understand that everything it says and does is a lie.
Amen, brother. Amen to that. That's good. Like you guys are good. You guys are on point. I couldn't agree more. We're like literally like it's bizarre to me that in a forum of open-minded people, we have like a toxic chat tonight for some reason. It's like, what the hell's going on? Like again, like it's exasperating.
There's just so many different ideas at once.
Yeah,
have a hard time with
maybe that's it. It's like whatever it is, what do you call it when the brain can't handle two different ideas at once? There's a term for
cognitive dissonance.
That's the one. That's the one.
Dissonance.
Yeah. Like, and again, right? Like, do you listen to this because you want to hear right exactly what you already know and believe? Like, I don't think that's ever the case. I don't think literally anybody who's listened to me for nearly 3 years now. It's been a long ass time. Like you tune in because you're like, yeah. Everything Mike says is the word. No. You disagree with me half the time, but you're here because you're getting conversations that you don't get anywhere else.
But what people don't understand is that, Mike, there are professionals that are involved in these kind of things, and when you have someone on that's saying something like this, they send in trolls to create the sense, and they'll say, that's crazy, that's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. And it's to get a overall consensus that it's nonsense. And when you call something crazy, that automatically dismisses it. Nobody will even weigh it or analyze it or look at it. Now it's dismissed as nonsense and craziness. And they do that to your audience because they don't want them to go, look into what has been said tonight. And that's the truth.
Yeah, there's definitely something going on. Again, there's I think we got Archons in the chat. There's no lie there. Vicky, what's up, says that rudest chat I have ever been in. That's what's going on over here, guys. But it's maybe not
and
that.
My chat is all love and peace over here. So what's that tell you?
well, but they've been love and peace until tonight. I don't know.
Yeah, usually
maybe
it's pretty love and peace.
Yeah,
I think it's just the mixture of all these ideas.
Yeah, I think so. Something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
I got to ask, what do you think? How are we going to counter the Archons?
I think that's.
I want to know about this thing you pulled up.
I think just like I said. Well, no, I'm not going to read this because if you guys want to read this yourself, read this. I'm not going to read this to you guys. I pulled up the source. I thought it was interesting that there's people with ideas on how to counter it. Right. I thought the concept of countering it was more important than what they said themselves. I thought it was more interesting to hear what we might think.
Got it.
So for me personally, I've said it a couple, 3 times. I continue to say it every damn show. I just think we should stop the hate. Why do we got to hate each other for no reason? Like, why the lefty righty paradigms, right? Like, literally, if you think your novel idea is your party line and you're going to draw the line in the sand and disconnect from your entire family because of this shit, come on. There's something wrong.
Over an illusion?
Yeah.
Over an illusion? They're 2 wings attached to the same bird, friends.
Yeah, oh yeah.
2 wings attached to the same bird.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they're both Satanists, by the way. They're the solar and lunar pillar, the red and blue. And Trump, MAGA, means Magus, the magician, which is from the temple of Set, Satan. So, boom, in your face. You're all worshiping Satan. Don't think that he was sent by God. He's playing the role of Cyrus, King Nebuchadnezzar, which falls in the 4th year of ruling Babylon. That's why we're about to go down.
Now we're getting all political.
Well, I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just telling you the truth. They're following the man. This is the second beast of Revelation. That's why he took the plague to the head and lived. And it is a plague. Go look at the etymology of the word. It's plague, or it's a scourge. People don't understand.
Let's not make the mistake, though, of thinking that saying something bad about Trump is supporting the other party, because it's just
no, because I don't like them either. Neither party. Neither party. I'm not a snowflake. I'm not either. I'm none of this. I don't participate in this. You know what? Choosing the lesser of 2 evils is choosing evil still. So think about that.
Yeah, that's the truth. And like I said, it's just I think it comes down to I think the worst part of all of this about the entire negative energy, kind of combating it, the social media, the brainwash media, the mainstream, everything, it ends up, it's literally in our lap, right? And the choice is yours. You can turn this shit on and you can listen to it and you can rot your damn brain every day if you want. You can do it. Like I turn it on because I only watch it because I want them to know, or I want to know what they want me to think. Okay. And I can only stand it in small bits because it just pisses me off. It doesn't make me want to rage and go punch my neighbor. It doesn't make me want to disconnect from my family. It pisses me off because I see very clearly what they're trying to do by what they're telling me and what they're telling you, what they're telling everybody. That's what pisses me off the most. And I think the way we counter that is exactly what we're doing. How much work goes into your channel, John? How much work goes into this channel, Mike? Like, it's an unbelievable amount of work, guys. Okay. And so I'm not saying bow down and worship or any of that shit. I'm just saying you can do it too. Okay. We're people just like you. Get in there, get your voice out there, and for crying out loud, stop separating people and start trying to bring people together instead. There's so many voices that say beautiful things. And why do we silence them? Like, we should be bringing them together and saying those beautiful things together. I think it's a simple formula, but it's almost too simple. It's almost too simple. It's just people don't believe it's that easy, but I think it's that easy. I think we can.
Amen, right?
Yeah, I think we can just cut some people out of this and, have them realize that you just be kind. Back to the golden rule. I don't know. Anyway, as we finish up, any final thoughts, guys? This has been a fantastic show. I'm fascinated by all this stuff. Like I said, John, I listen to your channel because I love learning stuff. Like I said, knowledge is knowledge. I don't care where it comes from. And I appreciate all the good conversations you and Bailey have. Bailey, you're amazing. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time. So many great comments about how amazing you are in chat, by the way. Every other comment is, wow, Bailey's really smart. So there we go. We got some positivity happening here. How about that? Yeah, I mean, yeah. Final thoughts, you guys.
I just want to tell everybody, man, if you want to challenge yourself and challenge what you believe to be true, and you're ready to empty your cup and maybe admit that none of us know anything, and you want to explore with us in our community, then go over to the Best Damn Podcast. We have a Discord. You can join it for free and hang out. We have a website, thebestdampodcast.tv. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that stuff. And I'm telling you, you will not find nothing like it on the internet. So
there you go. And I'm going to pull this up and link you guys real quick so you can find the actual. Hold on. Let me pull this up just to make sure. I linked it several times as we went. Like every 30 or 40 minutes, I was throwing your link up there. But I want to make sure. So just so you guys know, go check this stuff out. Again, right? Not everything is everybody's 100% flavor all the time. Follow John and Bailey over there. Go listen to the conversation, and you're going to learn some things, right? You're going to be challenged in your brain for some things, and that's really what all this is about. And it's about coming together. It's about challenging yourself, challenging the conversation that's allowed. Like, think about it. Think about the censorship that's happening. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And here we are. Like, look, like, it's possible they took John down in the middle of this conversation. It's happened to us before. Like, no shit. We did one thing or said one thing, and literally everything came down. It's happened to us. It hasn't happened recently, but it's happened. And so, like, I understand. Like, there's.
It did. I had to start a new video, Mike. I had to start a new video. They took the stream down yes, I did. And I just got a warning from Facebook. I just got a suspension on Twitter. They just removed my last video that I did on the artificial apocalypse. They're tearing my ass up, and it's because what I'm saying is true. And that's the bottom line. I don't just talk about religion either, guys. I talk about Planet X, AI, everything. That's why it's the Best Damn Podcast, so we can talk about whatever we want.
I think it's just like in old radio shows when they used to always have a guest on that someone didn't like, they would disconnect the phone call. I think they just shut down your internet for a second.
Yeah, that's all it would take, right? Just one little like packet loss would do it. That's all you need. Yeah.
Yeah,
they did that when we were doing a Discord the other night. They remotely turned off my internet and everything, and then they shut down my Discord 2 days ago. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's the same thing as in old radio shows. They'd shut off your phone lines. They have access to all these things. It's part of the system.
Yeah.
So it's not even a surprise if you ask me.
No, it's happened. It's happened before to us too. Okay, so so we're done. We're done. So are you guys going to keep streaming over there? You're going to keep on rolling? Should I send people over? There's the link if you are.
Yeah, you can send them on over. I'm probably gonna wrap it up here in a few minutes. So I want to thank you, Mike, and I want to tell all my subscribers, because I am streaming too, to go to troubledminds.org, and also I put all of your links, like his Twitter, his Facebook, his YouTube channel. Make sure to go sub him up and show him some love, because he is a really cool dude. And I just, I like your work. I think you're intelligent. I think you're well spoken. You got a great point of view on things, and you're very professional in the way that you conduct yourself. You come and hung out with us in the Discord the other night. That was really cool. And you're a funny dude too. A lot funnier than me. I'm kind of serious, but
hey, man,
I appreciate
it's okay to laugh. It's okay to laugh, bro. It's okay to laugh.
Both of us laugh, John.
Well, I'm just not funny. That's the problem.
Oh yeah.
I laugh. I'm just not funny. Yeah.
No, you know what the key to being funny is? I'm not funny, but the key to believing you're funny is just laugh at yourself. And it's all funny. It's all funny all the time. There you go. That's all you need. That's all you need. And one more time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. The pleasure's all mine. Yeah, exactly. No laughing at the Archons, or yes, laughing at the Archons. What'd you say?
Well, if you're laughing, you have to be having a good time. That's probably a high vibration, right? I think laugh at yourself, you're fighting the Archons. I love it.
There you go. All right. Perfect. One more time, guys. The Best Damn Podcast. This is John. This is Bailey. They're still streaming. I'm going to put this up. If you guys want to go over there, please follow them. Again, even if it's not your exact flavor, it is most of the time. Trust me. Go listen to what they're saying, and they're saying all kinds of important and smart shit over there. So do go follow it up, and I look forward to doing this in the future. I'm hoping we're going to do this in the future, aren't we, John?
Yeah. This was a rough topic to meet your audience. It really was. I didn't know that we were going to go this deep, but I'm glad we did. And I do talk about a lot of other things that probably won't offend you guys so bad. And yes, we'll do it again. You want to do it anytime? I'm down. I really like you, Mike. I like what you do, and hopefully your audience will grow on me.
No, they're fine. I think actually I'm seeing new people in here that may have come over as your haters. I think that may be what's going on. Maybe people you've already muted. Or something.
They're probably blocked.
Yeah,
they're probably blocked on my channel.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what's going on. It's people I've never seen are suddenly in here, just really being like malicious and stirring the pot.
Also, some of John's fans are in here too. So.
Yeah, I did notice that. So some people that are actually thoughtful, and not just a malicious. Yeah. So anyway, the chat wasn't that toxic. If you go to Twitch, if you think that's the worst, just go hang out in like a female streamer's Twitch channel for about 4 seconds, and you'll instantly quit. Yeah. So there we go. Go check out the Best Damn Podcast. I'm going to link them. All of their links are going to be not only on the website, they'll also be on the YouTube right after this. I'm going to put them on right after this. They're on there now, I think, but I'm going to clean it up a little bit because it's a little bit messy. And there you go. Go check it out. Again, John and Bailey, thanks for hanging out. You guys are the best. I look forward to talking with you soon. And as we finish, I like to do outro music. You guys want to hang out for outro music?
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. All right, let's play this. Final thoughts. Keep it 30 seconds or so. Let's go Bailey first, then John, and I'll finish up.
We did my final thoughts, but just like I want to touch again on just stay positive, love the world for what you can. I mean, don't let the bad things get to you too much, That's it.
Final thoughts. Always be true to yourself. Don't apologize for who you are. Be you and nothing else. And remember, Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life. There you go.
You guys are way too brief. I've got a big mouth. I could talk an outro for like 45 minutes. All right. I'm not going to do that, though. I'm not going to do that. I won't do that tonight. Sometimes I run out of music.
I guess you have almost an extra minute.
Yeah, there we go. Got an extra minute. Anyway, one more time. Here with the Best Damn Podcast. Check him out. I'm going to link him again. Follow all the links. They'll be on the website, troubledminds.org. They will also be on the YouTube channel. You can find that from troubledminds.org. You're probably watching on Facebook or all the rest of this. They'll all be there. You know where to find it. Links are up. Best Damn Podcast. Go check him out. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. Right now, you're listening to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strains. I'm here with John. I'm here with Bailey. How's it go? I have a line here. I have a line. The line is like this. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours. Have a great night.
Have a good one, y'all.
Yeah.
Dang, chat.